Yesterday, my life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another. You ever think the universe was against you? Fear, belief, love, phenomena that determine the course of our lives. These forces begin long before we are born and continue after we perish.
Our lives are not our own. We are bound to others, past and present. And by each crime and every kindness, may birth our future.
How long did you come again? I believe there is another world waiting for us, a better world. And I'll be waiting for you there.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network for the 16th of August. Happy 29th birthday to my son Caleb today. In case he listens to the show later. Your mic's not on. Nice try. Your mic's still not on. Nice try. We're a state of the art facility over here at Outlaw here on Mega Talk. Thanks for checking out the show. Try that again, Lori.
Happy birthday, Caleb.
Yeah, happy birthday, Caleb. 29 years old today. It's my youngest son.
You feeling old?
No. No, age is a state of mind.
How old is your oldest son?
He is 31.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Same age as
No, I'm not old. What are you talking about? Bite your tongue. Shut up. All right.
You
Thanks for
started younger.
Thanks for. I did start younger. I was smart. I started younger so I could have more. Okay, maybe that wasn't smart. Maybe that was
you
not the
could have
brightest.
more?
Thing, so I could have more. Black Tom is in studio. Hello, Tomas.
Hey.
What's going on, buddy?
It is. It's August, man. I can't believe August is already halfway done.
Do you want to give the fun thing that you got scheduled for 7:30 tonight?
So I got this link in our Outlaw chat from Philip saying, "Hey, we should check our new StreamYard thing, the video thing." I was like, I had tried to set something up with Brandy Cruz here a while ago. We were going to chat, and her schedule was nuts, and our schedule was our schedule's never nuts, but her schedule was nuts, which is what's important. She wasn't able to join us.
She's busy. She's a busy girl.
She's busy woman. So I just thought on a whim, hey, wouldn't it be fun to just see if Brandy wanted to pop up on our new video thing? Because, it's smartphone friendly and all that.
She'd be the first one to do it, too.
Yeah, well, no, we had Semi Bird in.
Not on the new
right,
system.
Not on the new
system.
stuff. Yeah, because the new stuff is smartphone, supportive.
Compatible,
And yeah.
I've decided that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just thought it'd be fun to shoot Brandy a quick text and go, hey, I know this is super short notice, but. And, I promised her nothing formal. We're just playing with the new system.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
She'll join us at 7:30.
Yeah, I think her quote was something like, she couldn't say no to us weirdos.
Yeah, that's what she said on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
She's good peeps. I'm glad she's coming on. She was so fun to be around when we had her in here a couple of months ago, and I really like Brandy. I think she's awesome. I've decided I need to go back to Vegas.
Well, that's a surprise.
Wait, what?
I need to go back to
just
Vegas.
got back.
I did. Well, no, I was in Vegas at the end of June, early July. It's now the middle of August. It's
Okay.
been a month and a half.
Okay, Outlaws, I'm looking at you.
When are we going?
Tonight's Outlaw drinking game is every time K-Dog says something about Vegas, take a shot.
I need to go back to Vegas because I want to test out the new system.
Take a shot.
Can you imagine how cool it would be for me to be on the strip on a Sunday night on the phone broadcasting live from Vegas?
Like
Take
when
a
you
shot.
called in? And
No, I'd be
you
sober,
were having
though.
Uber issues and...
Oh, we had Uber issues. We had was so much fun though. No, I'd be sober though when
You
I
would be
called in.
sober
I'd
this
be
time.
sober because I plan on doing the whole show from the Vegas strip. I could do that.
Take a shot.
Take a
Yeah,
shot.
take a shot.
That's 3 so far. He said
Can that
Vegas.
just be the ongoing shot, like from now on?
Vegas?
Like before the show, we will just have an intro that plays the rules of the drinking game. So if Tom mentions Hello
Yes.
Kitty, take a shot.
Oh.
If K-Dog mentions Vegas, take a shot. If Paul mentions softball,
No, Bigfoot.
no, that Dennis is Bigfoot.
Oh, okay.
If Paul mentions softball, take a shot. Dennis mentions Bigfoot, take a shot. If Lori says anything snarky to any of us, take a shot. And if Boss Baby brings up those wretched Ohio State Buckeyes, take 5 shots.
Ooh, 5 shots.
5 shots.
Let's
Dang,
just say
we're
2.
encouraging
5 shots.
alcoholism
5 shots.
here.
Yes, we are.
No, we don't want as the maker on the show. Yes, I want to sell that much liquor. No, I don't want to sell it to the same person. Love your liver. Love your liver. No 5 shots.
Here I am
Maybe
feeling
2.
left out now.
Oh, well, yeah, we got to have something for people to take a shot when Bob Ross says something.
Happy trees.
Bob Ross never talks about happy trees.
But we do.
Can you turn Tom's mic up a little bit? The folks in the chat are saying that Tom's a little hard to hear.
There you go.
Much better, Tom. Thank you. So anyway, Brandy Cruz
Say
coming
what?
on. Brandy Cruz joining us at 7:30. St. Paul should be in here any minute, and Boss Baby is on assignment currently at the ASPCA. How's your week? How's your guys' week been?
It's Monday.
Oh,
But it's not
you.
your Monday. Oh, it is your Monday.
It's
That's
my
right,
Monday.
yeah. Hey,
Fabulous over here.
can I tell you guys what I've been doing in my free time?
Sure.
I don't, not really. My
As
free
long
time.
as it's PG or
It's
or
PG.
lower.
Not really my free time. So when I work, I listen to podcasts because I have to have noise in the background for one.
I
Right.
do a lot of that.
Too
too.
quiet of a room, I will literally bang my head against a wall.
Me too.
And I have been listening to. In fact, I'll even give you guys the name of the podcast. It's called Adolf Hitler: Rise and Downfall.
Ooh.
It's a
It's a little light listening.
It's a multi-episode, probably, I don't know, probably 15 at least. And they're not done yet. They're up through the attack on Russia and war with the United States. So that late 1941, early 42 kind of era of
How long is each episode?
anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes, give or
Okay.
take, in there somewhere.
So
Yeah.
it gets pretty detailed, I would imagine. Then
Yeah,
if
and
there's that many.
It breaks everything in and down into time frame as far as where he lived in Austria, when he came over, the relationships in his life, how he got started in the party, his use of media, like just all kinds of stuff, right? And the only reason I bring this up,
This is what I'm here for. I want to know
the only reason I bring this up is because my entire life, I've always worked under the assumption of how could the Germans have let that happen? How could the Germans have allowed Hitler to rise to power and commit his atrocities? And I'm not excusing it. He was a horrible human being. Millions upon millions squared died because of his decisions and his actions. He's one of the most wretched people that have ever walked the planet. So don't mistake that I'm a neo-Nazi or suddenly love Hitler. That's not the point.
No, it's a curiosity about how can millions of citizens let that come to be.
And if you do the podcast, you will learn in little bits and pieces how it happened. Because it wasn't overnight. It started in the early 1920s. It migrated itself into his term in prison, and then getting out because he was in jail for a failed push, or whatever they're called, a failed revolt. And coup, yeah. And if you get into it and just learn kind of the psychology behind it, you'll see exactly how it happened, and you will see that the exact same thing can happen today.
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Here. There were things in this. I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler. I'm not. But there are things that Hitler did in the 20s and 30s that if you listen to it, you'll be like, crap, man, that sounds like Trump. Not the horrible person part of things, but the intelligence of using the media and symbolism and speaking to masses and rhetorical selling and all of that, right? I mean, there's just so much stuff that if you get into the like episodes 4 or 5 and 6 of the podcast, and you'll hear things in there that you're like, crap, man, that sounds a lot like Trump. That sounds a lot like Obama.
I was going to ask you, do you think Trump or Obama?
I-
I don't see Biden, but maybe.
Biden
No.
doesn't have the mental capacity.
No, because you can't put commercials on pancakes.
Right, but remember how he spoke to Charlemagne the God?
Yeah,
Yeah. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, he's a little bit different, but the ones that are really skilled, the really skilled orators, I don't know if they're intentionally taking a page out of Hitler's book, right? But Hitler did some things that if you go back and watch the pod, you'll just see today. And again, I'm not. Obama did it. Bush did it to a certain extent, especially on the deck of the carrier and the flags and stuff. And there's always a little bit of that to our politicians, but the really skilled ones.
Yeah, well,
and then it just scared the crap out of me.
Right.
Well, if you're going to talk about Bush on the deck of the carrier and stuff, you can talk about Biden with all those crazy red lights behind him. He looked like the emperor from Star Wars. You remember that speech?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what was that? State of Union. One of the year. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. No, it wasn't State of the Union because State of the Union is in front of Congress, but. Yeah, he was on a stage. It had all the red lights behind him. I thought any minute you were gonna have like Kylo Ren come out with a lightsaber.
Palpatine. Yeah. No, he looked kind of Sith himself.
Yeah,
Stuff a sword in him or something.
Emperor
yeah.
Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine.
Or Palpatine.
Come on,
Whatever
Sorry.
it is.
Sorry, Palestine is
No,
a
I said
nation that doesn't
Palatine.
exist anymore.
Right now, I'm shocked that Kevin gets a TV
No,
movie
I
reference.
finally saw episode 9.
I'm
I
sorry.
saw it on the flight coming back from Vegas,
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
or maybe the flight to Vegas.
Because I saw 1, 2, and 3, and I went garbage, and then just.
Oh, I
gave
haven't
up on
seen
the
1,
rest.
2, and 3.
Oh, they're garbage.
I
Don't
saw
waste
4,
your
5,
time.
and 6.
Well,
Wait.
yeah, when we were
The
kids.
first
when
three,
we were
4, 5, and
kids.
6.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
I saw 4, 5, and 6. Then I heard every Star Wars nerd in the world completely poop themselves over how awful 1, 2, and 3 were.
They were all garbage.
And so I decided I wasn't ever going to watch those.
And I'm not even really a Star Wars nerd. I was just super disappointed. The writing was bad. The character development was bad. The only thing that was cool was the special effects. And who cares?
I don't know. Jar Jar was kind of fun.
Jar Jar was annoying.
He was annoying, but he was fun.
Oh, I thought all of the writing and character development were awful. So I just gave up on the whole franchise and went, okay, I remember 4, 5, and 6 from my childhood.
Can I give you guys the big news?
Sure.
Yeah.
On August 29th, it's a Tuesday, the new Indiana Jones movie releases to streaming.
Straight to streaming?
It'll go to stream. It'll be on Disney Plus and Paramount Plus.
That's right. It did come out.
Yep, August
Very
29th.
good.
So on Tuesday, August 29th, do not talk to me.
Why?
Can I come to your house and watch?
You can come to the house and watch. Yeah, Tom, you can come over too. I'll be watching the movie. I'll make a big batch of popcorn. Maybe throw a steak on the grill.
Maybe we should do a watch party.
I'll totally do a watch party. Come on over.
I'll bring my own steak if you'll grill it.
Yeah, I'll have the grill on, and we'll be good to go, and it'll be fun to watch some
Mashed
Indiana
potatoes.
Jones. Yeah.
Roasted vegetables.
Wait a minute. I'm making meat. I
know.
didn't say nothing about ruining my meal with vegetables.
No, for me.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I have a
gotta
little,
have some
I have
roast-
a grill
No,
pan.
I'll do some asparagus. How's that
You
work?
gotta have some roast veggies to go with your roast,
Yeah.
with your grilled
do
meat.
I
some
have a
steamed
specific
asparagus?
pan that goes on the grill.
You
Yeah.
can have some
Yeah, for
roughage,
veggies.
man.
I
Get
got
all
one
that
too.
stuff
I got
through.
a metal one.
Yeah,
metal
yeah,
grill,
yeah.
metal grill pan. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
roughage.
just do some asparagus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts on the grill.
No,
are amazing.
I almost just said the F word. What the hell is wrong with you?
I love Brussels
Who
sprouts.
cooks and eats Brussels sprouts on purpose?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts is God's penance to punish us.
Yeah.
Actually,
You gotta agree.
No, Brussels sprouts are delicious.
Jesus Christ was like, oh, you guys want to hang me from a cross until I die and have to resurrect myself? Here's Brussels sprouts.
wow.
I love Brussels sprouts.
No, you're worse than Hitler.
You clearly have never had enough butter with your
Wow.
Brussels sprouts.
Never what?
Had enough butter with your Brussels sprouts.
Butter.
You
hell.
could put
There's
a
not enough
Brussels
butter.
sprout in 3 cups of butter, and I still would not touch the Brussels.
You know the
sprout.
best way to have Brussels sprouts
is in the garbage.
No.
I suppose he's going to struggle with asparagus too.
No, I love asparagus.
Yeah, no, Brussels
But boy, I
sprouts.
fart after eating some asparagus, man.
Oh, some nice crispy
asparagus
bacon
at
bits
the
all
watching
over the
party.
Brussels sprouts.
Why would you do that? Why
And
wouldn't you
then a
just eat the
little-
bacon?
Because it's better with Brussels
No,
sprouts.
it is
and then a
nothing
little
is
bit
better-
Of maple syrup, and you throw that on the grill so
Nobody
it caramelizes.
nobody on this planet has ever uttered the words before, it is better with Brussels sprouts.
It's delicious.
It's never
It's
been said until
delicious.
now.
Delicious.
Hitler is digging out of his Russian-made grave.
Chicken
Delicious.
cutlets wrapped with bacon.
Oh,
That's
stop
what
it.
And a
But
side
then
with
just eat
and
the
a side of
bacon.
Brussels
All
sprouts.
this Brussels sprouts talk reminds me of a funny. My brother being special needs, he has his moments of just absolute hilarity, and one of them was
See, DT knows. Look in the chat.
they had Brussels sprouts at Red Lobster. And it's like
Oh.
charred, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like chard. I didn't realize it
What?
until he takes a bite of it, and he's like, "Blah."
Who doesn't like
Poison.
chard? Who doesn't like chard?
My brother.
Man, your brother's
Oh.
a smart man. The only thing worse than Brussels sprouts are charred Brussels sprouts. DT says in chat, Brussels sprouts are yummy, especially when they're grilled or roasted and wrapped in bacon. That's awful. Heather says, I've not had them prepared right. That's right. I haven't had them prepared right. I throw them in the garbage. Well, okay, here's where I think my listeners are insane. The best Star Wars storytelling is in the Clone Wars animated series. I cannot get into cartoon movies or cartoon series. I can't.
Oh, I'm with you.
Now, I used
Me
to be
too.
able to. Like back in the day, I don't know if, Paul just got here. He'll be
Like
in
when
studio
you were
in a second.
12.
Did you guys ever watch Star Blazers?
Oh yeah.
I love Star Blazer. I have the entire series
Except
on
I
digital.
ruined it by watching it as an adult. I was like, wow, I really thought this was awesome when I was a kid.
Well, it was great when we were kids.
Yes.
You know, they did a live action movie in Japan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Blazers. What was it Voltron? Thundercats.
I hated Voltron. Hated Thundercats.
As a kid, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And
Love Transformers, but hated the GoBots. Love G.I. Joe. Watch that all the time.
hated Barbie.
Screw Barbie. Women need equal rights. Shut up. Paul's made it in studio. What's going on there, Pollywog? How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'll tell you, Dad.
Take a shot.
Been a hell of a day. Why would somebody take a shot?
Oh, we're getting the Outlaw Radio drinking
Drinking
going.
game.
Yeah, we're gonna have a disclaimer before the show that goes with the drinking game.
Okay.
No, it wasn't when he calls me Dad. That wasn't it. It's when he talks
Okay,
about
Daddy.
softball. Can you please quit that?
I will.
Not in the chat.
I'm not.
In the
totally
chat,
will.
they asked for it to
I
be
am.
daddy.
I am
totally
not
will.
gonna ask you again.
I
just to stop.
totally won't say it again.
I don't believe you. I think you
No,
will.
look.
I think within the next 15 minutes you'll do it again.
I love everybody that's in here, and I can
Vader.
tell that you are clearly upset about this.
Yes,
so
it
I
is-
just no, it's okay. It's okay.
It
I'm
is
not
the
going to say
most
it again.
cringy.
I'm not going to say it again. In fact, the only reason I brought it up, listen, the only
gross.
reason I said it, I want you to be aware. The only reason I said that, okay,
Yeah.
is that
To prove you can't?
Lori tagged me in a comment, and so I was naturally under the presumption that she wanted me to say it when I walked
No, I tagged you because someone in the chat said you should say it. Just call him Vader.
in. Vader.
It doesn't bother him.
Look, here's the deal.
Did you take German?
Yeah.
Oh, so you know what Vader means.
Yeah, I know what it means. I know. Listen, I know.
What, really?
I know. I took it to Stanwood High School.
Hold on,
Come on now.
hold on.
Oh, then you don't know.
hold
No,
on.
I'm just kidding. You had
I
frost
took-
shoals.
yeah, I had frost shoals. Boy, listen. If you
I stayed away from her.
our
She
German
scared me.
teacher, if you were to take the
Ich sprechen Sie Deutsch, ja?
stereotypical, ich spreche ein bisschen auf Deutsch. If you were to take the stereotypical German teacher with the mustache and the poor disposition,
God, it sounds like you had mine.
that was her without the mustache.
Was that
I was
Eva
going to say,
Garrison?
she didn't have a...
No, she didn't have mustache, but she was everything else.
She was
stereotypical.
very petite, but man.
This was up north there where you guys
Oh,
went.
yeah.
She had the angry voice.
I
the
had,
look.
I had a
Her
German
look
teacher
was down, too.
that grew up as a Nazi Hitler youth, and she
Do tell.
yes
Because we're
she-
still talking about Hitler.
yes I
Did you
heard
listen to
that
the show
which
at all,
I-
Ian?
yeah I was
You should really listen to that podcast.
well
It's
I
really
love
good.
Brussels sprouts, which shows how
Oh no!
intelligent-
Stop it!
But here's what I was going to say. I didn't think much about it. I was a junior in high school. It was second year German. She was my first year teacher, and she made this comment. She's like, "We're going to get into more about German culture, the German people, and all of these different things." I'm a big history buff. I already know that when I graduate, I'm going to enlist in the Army. And so I said, are we going to talk about how the German people handled the loss of the war and finding out about the concentration camps? I felt that was a big part of the German
No.
culture.
How'd that go?
Well, that was my first real life learning experience of F around and find out. Because she flat out looked me straight in the face and she goes, that was propaganda. It wasn't true. And with that attitude, you will not pass my class. And I failed.
In America. She said
Yes.
that to you.
Yes.
Wow.
This was back in 1988, right?
Wow.
And she gave me an F for the first quarter. Mm-hmm. I had no missing assignments, but I failed the class the first quarter. At the semester, she buckled down and gave me a D.
How
And
nice.
and then right, well then the third quarter, apparently my attitude had failed to improve, and she gave me an F again. And then for the fourth quarter, gave me a D. So the 2 semester grades were D's, and then my 2 other quarter grade were F's. And I think my final grade was like a D minus for the class. It was just enough for me to
To
pass.
pass, yeah.
and now of course, I'm older. I'm more understanding of where she was coming from. It's easy for me to look back on that time as a learning experience and go, what a bitch. I was a kid. I was just trying to understand. There was nothing in my mind about being offensive, but that was my first real run-in with somebody that I clearly offended. And there was no mistaking it. I'm able to look back on it now. A bunch of students in that class filed a petition with our principal, which served to piss her off even more, because we were basically like, all the people. So you
signed it too?
Yes. Well, it was because of what she said to me.
Oh,
all the
okay.
kids in the class heard her say it. So we wrote a letter to the principal, and we all signed it. Now, I didn't hear anything else about it until all of a sudden she prepped us one day and said, tomorrow, the principal, she gives us the song and dance about how the principal goes into all the classrooms and observes everything that's going on a regular basis, right? So tomorrow the principal's going to be in here, so we're going to play some games. And I'm telling you, that was catfishing 101 right there, because she was a different person. Oh my goodness! But yeah, it was that was fascinating. She stopped teaching German that year and went back to the reform school.
Oh,
or what do they call it? Where the kids that have trouble in regular school go.
Alternative.
Oh, thank you. Alternative school. Yeah. So she went back and finished her career at the alternative school. I don't think it had anything to do with us. I'm not that egomaniacal, but damn,
Sure you're not.
that was a learning experience.
That's worse than my history teacher telling me that Vietnam was nothing to discuss.
Huh?
Yeah, we went straight from the Korean War to let's see, when
Vietnam
was
nothing much to discuss.
Yeah, we went
50,000
straight
dead
from
Americans, a million
Korean
dead
War
Vietnamese.
to Reagan being elected. We just
Wow.
just skipped the whole thing.
Just skipped over all that
Desert
crap.
Storm hadn't happened yet.
There's a logic there. Skip Carter. That's good.
Yeah.
Ford didn't happen. Nixon didn't
plug me in?
happen.
Skip Carter.
I will. A few years ago, when a man named Donald Trump came down the escalator, Kevin, and I don't mean, well, because you brought up the comparisons between Hitler and Trump, so I just wanted to say, well, I know you were making it very clear you were not trying to compare Trump to Hitler.
No, I'm just saying that some of the.
You were right.
Yeah,
You're right.
course
There's an absolute correlation. Don't bury yourself in the part. There's a correlation between a speaker that can capture a crowd, right? And they lower the people's defenses, and in a lot of ways, Barack Obama was that way, right?
Yep.
I talked about it a lot, not in the evil Nazi way, but he had a commanding presence for sure. So I was checking out a candidate. We'll talk about him during the break. I found him to be very interesting, and I wanted to speak on him a bit.
Okay, we'll go to break, and in just a moment we should have Brandy Cruz joining us. So stick around. It's Outlaw Radio here on Megatalk.
Hell is that?
No, I'm going to show you the video off here. One more. We're watching the video. There's this woman in Florida, New York. She's walking around pointing a gun at people.
Pointed at her head.
She's
walking backwards,
and then the cop strikes her.
The cop just hits her. We mowed her down with his car.
Yeah, mowed her down with the car.
Think about
and
it,
then she gets right back up. It was smart.
It was smart.
Apparently, that deadly weapon wasn't deadly enough.
Only in Florida.
Car.
Yep, and now she's gonna get arrested.
Well, because that's a person who, look, my heart goes out to anybody that follows through with it and commits suicide, because there's a lot going on there. And it's interesting how different cultures deal with that topic, right? Because there are some places on this planet where that is treated with reverence and awe and an act of courage.
Well, Japan is a perfectly
absolutely.
honorable decision.
Yeah. So, but here it's not socially acceptable. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why. Because again, and I have two friends that did it. My brother-in-law's dad did it. My wife's dad did it. So there are, I guess maybe I just have a weird way of looking at it, but I can see where for people through the course of their lives, there's mental health issues, there's addiction, there's a whole bunch of things that go into that computation, And so for for a Japanese soldier, it was, I lost.
Right.
Right.
So it was that simple, straightforward, and black and white.
It's a
for
matter
them.
of honor at that
Absolutely,
point.
absolutely. So it's something that's always struck me as fascinating. The difference in attitudes and opinions about that very real subject. You know, I mean, I don't really have much more to say on it than that. I just found
Do you
it
have
interesting.
stats on that? Like, is it more prevalent for men than
That's
women?
a great question. I don't have
Because-
any
In
stats
what
on
culture?
Well, just here in America, for example, one of my sons, his senior year of high school, two close friends both committed suicide within weeks of each other. Rocked his world.
Does
And
it seem to you that it's more male than female?
it's hard for me to tell because I live in a male-dominated household. So,
Okay.
you
That's
know, I
fair.
don't have as much interaction with women.
With women.
Yeah.
You're a lot like my wife in that sense. Like, she just identifies more with a masculine energy and a masculine mentality about a lot of things, and so she doesn't have a lot of female friends because of it.
No drama.
Yeah.
Well, I know that in the United States, the division of genders when it comes to
There's only 2.
right when it comes to suicide, men will typically choose a firearm, and it'll be very quick. Women will typically look for like pharmaceuticals and alcohol.
Interesting.
Because they want to have like
Somebody, they want their prince in shining armor to save them.
seconds.
no, there needs to be presentation after they're gone.
Outlaw Radio.
A firearm makes a mess.
All right, Outlaw Radio. We should be joined shortly by the one and only Brandy Cruz.
Oh, Kevin's nuts. So
Just don't call him Vader.
well, they were just, you know, I
was
mean,
random.
it's like plop. There they are. Okay, Paul, what are you gonna do
You know
about
what
it?
I would
Well,
love if we could have like a show where you were not a jerk to me. Like you can be a jerk to Lori, to
didn't
Tom, to
I
Bob
didn't say any-
Ross, to
I
Andy,
didn't-
although she'll
I don't-
castrate you.
I didn't say I haven't been a jerk to you. I thought we were having a good conversation.
I'm just
You
saying
brought
you
up-
can be a jerk to everybody else but me just for
He's
one
a
show.
little sensitive. He was,
I-
you know, talking about no pants day.
Uh-huh.
I had to leave the room. The belt was coming off. I was like, yeah,
Oh,
no,
Lord.
not staying here.
Okay. Oh, it was one of those kind of nights then. Okay. Well, that
what a night.
explains his nuts on the counter. All right. So
Late September.
Don't get out the black light.
63.
right. So
Anyway.
presidential candidate, and I've just been trying to learn as much
Oh,
as
wait,
I can.
hold on. Our guest is logging in. So do you want to get
Do you want
into
me to
this?
whisper?
No, I
To make you
I
feel
didn't
better?
want you to start your
All right.
conversation.
Shall
okay.
I add her to the stream?
Well,
All
I
right.
don't know if
No.
she's there yet.
It's fine.
I just
I'll wait till I see video.
So anyway,
Oh, all right, there she is.
Okay, hold on. Wait
Yes.
till she's ready. She'll give us the thumbs up when she's ready. Oh,
okay.
okay.
There's a thumbs up.
All right. You want to bring her on? There we go.
There
Hey,
we
look,
go.
everybody. It's one and only Brandy Cruz from the
Hey,
Undivided
Brandy.
Podcast. What's up, Brandy?
Brandy.
Oh my God, I'm 2 minutes late. I feel terrible. But Kevin, I have to talk to you about something.
What do you got to talk to who?
Kevin,
Oh, crap. Yes,
Oh,
Brandy.
now
how can I
you're in
help you?
trouble.
I have never seen a human being so mad about one of the most delicious vegetables known to man.
Yes.
Thank you, Brandy.
Yes, Brussels sprouts are the bomb.
You know, Brandy.
Just never have them cooked right. They need to be broiled with olive oil. You can't boil them.
No, a little bacon, a little maple, a little olive oil, some salt and pepper.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Thanks.
You know, I'm
guys.
sure when Brandy was like, "Sure, Tom, I'll come on the show tonight," she totally expected to open up with a talk about God's cursed vegetable. That's outstanding. That's
I'm very passionate about the Brussels sprout. I really don't want to live through a Thanksgiving without them.
I think that's a
Oh.
fair plan.
Brandy, you're welcome at our house anytime.
Okay, good.
Yes. Well, because now you're getting ready to get married, right?
I am at the end of September. I'm very
is this a
excited.
secret? We didn't
And-
blow out the
no.
secret, did we?
No, it's not a
Oh,
secret.
oh, what day? I'm curious.
September the 23rd.
Oh, that's my grandmother's birthday.
Oh, still time for us to get our invites. Perfect.
Yeah, they're on the way. It must be delayed.
Well, I was gonna
Damn
mention
that
to her.
postal service.
Now, is it 30-10 weight loss that you talk about frequently that you're going through? Who is it that you
Oh,
were
oh my
going
gosh, that's the competitor.
through? Okay.
Oh,
God,
don't
is
say
it-
that.
Who is it that you're?
Hold on. And this is why we're not on Seattle radio.
Oh, shut up.
Go ahead, Paul.
I don't even know what 30-10 weight loss is. The point is that I was curious about because you've talked openly about the plan you're on your show, and you were trying to lose a little bit of weight, right?
Yeah.
Which
This
people
is a
do-
dangerous topic
people
to
do
bring up,
before-
man.
Yes,
What the
but
hell
I
is
am-
wrong with
I
you?
am not afraid to
Brandy,
tackle
I
these
don't know what's
difficult
going on
subjects.
here.
And
I'm sorry.
and-
I didn't mean to drag you into this.
and
I
like
thought we'd
Amber
talk
Heard
a little
said-
Inslee cap and trade,
Yeah.
some like.
We can get into cap and trade and
But
gas
no,
prices. in a
let's
minute.
talk about Brussels sprouts.
That's where
her
I was
pending
going.
wedding and her plans to lose
Yes,
weight.
Brussels sprouts.
Jesus God, man.
So we're- so
I like Brussels sprouts.
she likes
They're very
Brussels
healthy.
sprouts, and they're super healthy. So I was going to ask her if they were part of the diet that she was on. So you'd know that, Kevin. Oh, you just got to look a little bit into stuff.
Well, you
I
can't have them the
imagine
way
that
I
they're
cook them.
not prohibited. I don't think it specifically addresses Brussels sprouts as a vegetable. I'm sure it's fine, but yeah, no, I've been open about this. I'm not easily offended. As
She
as
talks about it
people are.
on her show.
I do, yeah. Well, that's because they're a sponsor. So if I had when I left TV news, I don't know if it was like I felt like the pressure was off of me of the constant judgment of people, but I gained 42 pounds after I was on TV. And then this past fall, I saw some pictures of myself. I was like, no way. I said, that's just very unflattering. And then I went to another event a couple weeks later. I was like, oh my God, that is what I look like. And so I tried Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and I lost like 36 pounds in 2 months. And so I shed like all my COVID weight, all my post-TV COVID weight before my
Right.
wedding, which is great. I'm not ashamed of that.
See, Kevin, you got to just learn to loosen up a little bit.
First
This is
of
why
all-
you're single.
Listen, if you
You
call,
don't know how to talk to ladies.
if you call Eastside Weight Loss and you ask for the literature you got when you first signed up, in the very back they have a section called Satan's Foods, and that's where the Brussels sprouts are at. That's where the Brussels sprouts are at. Brandy, let's talk about real things that people want to talk about, as opposed
Asparagus.
to Paul's infatuation with your asparagus is wonderful, by the way.
Yeah.
Asparagus is a godsend. Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts, Brandy, on the state finally decided to do something with drug possession, although it's still just a gross misdemeanor, which is let's be honest, kind of like inviting Paul to your house and expecting him not to blow up the bathroom.
Oh, Lord.
Why is this? Why is this what they decided to settle on? And is this done?
Is it done? I don't know. I would say unless there's some significant political shift in Olympia, they're going to say all good. And the same with Pursuit, where they did kind of can I swear?
No, we're on AM over here.
Oh, okay. Where they did just a half-aid attempt at
Or you
fixing
can say
our-
half-assed.
Oh,
Yeah, that's okay.
half-assed attempt at fixing our state's broken police pursuit law. So I think they can go out on the campaign trail, when everybody tries to pretend that they're more moderate than they really are after primaries, and they can say, "Hey, I voted to fix police pursuits," and "Hey, I voted to, pass a law that would make sure that we can crack down on this open-air drug use," when they really passed down some watered-down versions of what were really strong bipartisan proposals at the beginning of the legislative session. So it's all just performative politics. I will say, however, I'm not very bothered by dropping the felony to a misdemeanor. I'm just not. I think what I want for people who are in the depths of addiction is I want an intervention. And I think that a law enforcement intervention has been effective. I've spoken to people who it was effective for as a last resort. And so whether that's a few nights in jail, I don't think you need to go to prison to have a law enforcement intervention if you're addicted to drugs. But I do think that sometimes a little bit of a stay in jail to sober up the hard way and to get a little of mental clarity is a good thing. So state law, some of it had already gone into effect, but the rest of it is now in effect. But there are some cities like Seattle. Seattle didn't have the political will to add parity between. So basically, one of the issues with it being a gross misdemeanor, as you guys know, is there's some like, oh, you prosecuted, finger pointing going on. So in Seattle previously, if there was a felony drug possession, that's obviously in the purview of the King County Prosecutor's Office. But now that it's a gross misdemeanor, they're going to the city attorney. They're like, that's on you. The problem is we didn't have a law, and we still don't have a municipal code on the books in Seattle dealing with drug offenses. And so in Seattle, where the problem is the worst, that new state law means nothing.
Yeah.
We have talked with, Kevin works over there in the federal building, right? What street's that on?
First and Marion.
First and Marion. And we were talking about how
Don't throw eggs at me, Brandon.
No, I
Don't throw Brussels sprouts at me, Brandon.
I grew up going to like Seahawks football games with my dad all through the 80s, and I want to be able to take my kids back over there. right? But I'm like actually nervous about getting on a ferry and taking my wife and kids over there because it's like everything. Like I'm a big fan of the Cho Show, and I mean it seems like it's just an open air drug market everywhere you turn. Is it really that bad down there?
Yeah, and I think it's relative, right? Whenever I talk about how bad Seattle has gotten since I moved here 12 years ago, people, the trolls on Twitter, they're like, well, yeah, it's really bad. Look at Chicago or Baltimore. And I'm like, there's a reason why I don't live in Chicago or some other major city where there's, insane gang violence. It's because I don't want to live in a place like that. I didn't expect Seattle to look like this. Seattle did not look like this when I moved to the city 12 years ago. And so it's relative for me. It's clearly much worse than it was. It's much worse than it was 5 years ago. I have seen on multiple occasions people who look like they're dead on the sidewalk, who paramedics are trying to resuscitate. And so for a city that projects to the world that it is a world-class destination, it is so far from that. It's pretty sad. And honestly, what's happening on the streets is not empathy. I think we should address that too. I mean, the fact that we're in this situation because progressives pushed policies that they, pushed in the name of empathy is so laughable to me that they think what's happening to these people on the streets is empathy.
Yeah, I think we all probably would raise our hands in agreement with that.
Well, I was in the office yesterday, and I think I muttered these words as I was walking back to the ferry. This is the first day I've walked from work to the ferry, not had to dodge human feces on the sidewalk in a very, very long time. So I guess the city of Seattle is making progress.
That's progress.
I love how progress is measured by how much human feces you have to walk over.
Yeah, how much I have to dodge.
So you want to go next?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. So you worked with our friend Travis Couture and went out and you guys were gathering signatures, right? Unfortunately, didn't quite go, didn't quite get the numbers that you guys thought you were going to get. What do you think is next? I did just read something about some sort of lawsuit or something that's been filed that's surrounding 5599. I didn't get a chance to read it, but can you tell us a little bit what you know about what might be coming next?
Yeah, sure. And that was a bummer. I mean, so there was Referendum 101, which was an effort to put 5599 on the ballot for voters, which I don't think is controversial. What's so controversial about letting voters vote on something?
And on whether they want to change the state's mind.
Right. And that's why Democrats, you see them harass so many signature gatherers and referendum folks, is because those are really our last two efforts to try to push back against one party rule. That's all that voters who don't fall in line with that party can do. And so those are difficult things to do, and they are expensive and laborious, but they're very important. And they're one of the last powers that the people have left to truly make change who aren't Democrats. But I really believed in it because I thought the bill was horrendous, but I just thought that parents ought to have a say in it. And so we hosted some meet and greets across the state. And yeah, Representative Travis Couture, you guys have such a good one out there. I mean, I was at, I don't know how much you've seen, but I hosted a meet and greet in Lacey, which should have been that was a key mistake, so close to Olympia. Because of course there were like 50 people who showed up calling us anti-trans, and it was a whole wild scene. But we had a great turnout, and thank God for Representative Travis Couture, because he shows up. It was at the Lacey one. And he's like, hey, do you need help? I'm like, oh my God, yes. And so sweet Travis stood behind the table with me for what must have been 2 hours, maybe more, to help collect signatures, which was awesome. So I criticize politicians enough, so I should give them a little bit of credit for that. But what I do know about what's happening with 5599 is there is an initiative that if you go to letsgowad.com, there's 6 really common sense initiatives that Brian Haywood is pushing. And you have till the end of the year to sign them. So I think there's a good chance they'll get enough signatures. And one of them is, I'm probably going to get the number wrong, but I think it's Initiative 2081. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 2081. And it is sort of like a companion initiative to Referendum 101. So that is a good, I think, recourse. I'm not familiar with the lawsuit that you referenced, though.
No, and I can't really say any more about it. I literally saw the headline on my phone. It popped up as I was driving into the studio. So I'll go look it up later. But I mean, this state is purely amazing on so many levels. I think that it's very easy for us to point at the state of Washington and place a fair amount of the blame solely on the Democrats. Nothing against that, my Democratic friends, but you have been in control since '88. So I think that that's a pretty good track record there. And I mean, take a bow. You've done exactly what you said you were going to do with gas prices.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, That whole thing was hilarious. I mean, you pass a policy that is designed inherently to increase the price of gas, and you're like, "Oh, it's not going to do that." And then when you can't lie about it anymore because it's so obvious, you're like, "Well, that's not our policy. That's the greedy oil companies." And it's like people buy that still. I'm like, what? At what level is the gaslighting obvious enough where if it's your own political party, even you're willing to call it out?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, look, I mean, if you look at Hawaii and Florida, they traditionally have the higher gas prices because of their outreach area in order to get it there.
Their non-proximity.
Well,
to oil
Alaska
wells.
not so much, but Hawaii. Washington State's got the highest gas price in the nation by far now. Like, it's absolutely stupid. It's the dumbest thing on the planet.
I will actually say though, I got to correct you because California just took that back. But
did
just
they?
barely. Yeah, it just barely. So I don't know if it'll flip-flop again, but Washington had for a period of time, for the first time ever, had the highest gas prices in the nation.
You think Inslee and Newsom are calling each other on Friday afternoons going, hey, who do you think's ahead now?
No, I don't think.
got the lead?
I don't think Newsom cares enough about Inslee to give him a call on the phone.
Dude, right? He's like the redheaded stepchild, I think. He's like, don't talk to me, dude. You did a commercial for president on a Segway, okay?
Yeah, he's like, sorry, I can't stoop down to that level. I'm trying to run for president without letting anybody know I'm actually running for president.
Right.
Jay Inslee does seem like the little kid who's like hanging onto somebody's pant leg, like trying to get noticed. Like, please pay attention to me. I matter too.
Like, yeah.
100%. I hate personal attacks on politicians, but that's one of the roughest. I think I talked about this last time I was on the show. One of the roughest people to interview. It really is. It's challenging because I don't want to dumb down questions, but I almost feel like I have to get some sort of response that's coherent.
I think, didn't you interview him once, Kevin, years ago?
I interviewed him in this very studio in 1999 when he was a representative. And I just remember leaving that thinking, this guy is a dim bulb in a dark box, man. This guy is, I'm not a fan. Brandy, you said earlier if there was a shift in leadership in Olympia, I'm curious how you feel about the premise of that where we stand today. Obviously, Reichert's a big name to run for governor. He's probably got the best track record of anybody we've seen on the GOP side run for that office in quite a long time. Raul Garcia has made a good name. He's going to run for an underseat. You know, Semi Bird is running for governor. We've had him on this show a couple of times, and we really like him. I don't think he's got a lot of a shot now with Reichert in the race, but there's some good names out there. Is there a chance Republicans forge some movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think if Dave Reichert can't do it, then it can't be done. That's truly what I believe, and at least not done in the foreseeable future. And I actually think that it's a good, I think, sort of trial run for Republicans to decide whether they ought to move on to other things and put money into, trying to take over the House or regain the Senate and be able to add a little balance that way, as opposed to saying, hey, let's keep throwing whatever money we have, which isn't as much as Democrats, at races that we know we can't win, like the governor's race and Senate races, et cetera. Dave Reichert, I haven't been quiet about this. I thought he should have run in 2020. He unfortunately made the decision not to run before the pandemic and before we knew really what a disaster it would be. Mm-hmm. And I think that had you had a viable candidate like Dave Reichert in 2020, I think that he could have been elected governor. It's hard to know between now and 2024 what might change. I mean, what might be thrown out there. Abortion was a late thing in 2022 that really shifted the climate. But like I said, I think Dave has as good of a chance as perhaps any Republican in the last, I would say 20 years, even maybe more so than Rob McKenna. I think Dave, he's 71, I think, but have you seen the man? He's fit as a fox.
Yeah, he really is.
He really is, but I would like to see him have a little bit more energy and enthusiasm. Like Semi Bird has that on lock. Sure. Semi Bird really makes you love him within 5 minutes of talking to him. But I don't think he has a chance. I think the name recognition is just really way too difficult, and the money's going to dry up with Dave Reichert. But I wish that Semi Bird could give a little bit of that enthusiasm to Dave Reichert and, frankly, to Raul Garcia. Because Maria Cantwell, I can't even think of her name because she doesn't emerge from her cocoon until every 6 years when she has to run for her office again. I mean, you don't see the woman. You don't see the woman. But I moderated a Senate debate between Maria Cantwell and Susan Hutchison back in 2018. And oh my God, I was bored to tears with Maria Cantwell. Mm-hmm. Bored to tears. Very monotone, lacks. I mean, she's very milquetoast. And I don't mean that to be a personal attack, but she just doesn't doesn't garner any sort of excitement. And so I think for Raul Garcia, that's a way he can set himself apart, is just being a fresh face and someone who is really enthusiastic about improving the state. So I just wish, Semi Bird can sort of rub off on them a little bit in that regard.
For sure. Hey, our friend Travis Couture piped up in the chat room, and again, thank you, Travis. And the reason he wanted to say something, it's America First is suing Governor Inslee DSHS over $55.99.
Gotcha.
So that's the lawsuit. So
and he's got a link in there to it as well.
Yeah.
The other question I had on the governor race is I feel like the great unknown is Bob Ferguson. How much he can carry over from Inslee. I love the face.
Bobblehead is dangerous, man.
Yeah, Governor Bobblehead is a dimwit. But listen, I've never met anybody that was adamantly supportive of Jay Inslee. Like, I've never been walking down the street and seen somebody be like, "Oh, who you vote for? Oh, I'm so excited to vote for Jay. I can't wait." Like, we saw rallies in Port Orchard, which town of 300 people soaking wet, where there were easily 700, 800 people at a rally for Lauren Culp, of all things. And I've never seen any kind of rally or support like that for Inslee, and yet he continues to win. How much of his support transfers over to Bob Ferguson, who, you talk about milquetoast, holy cow.
Yeah, what you're saying there is this is default voting, right? It's just about the D. I did this really hilarious segment, which there's a couple memories I have of my time at Fox 13, as critical as I am of corporate media, that I was actually like, wow, they let me do that segment. And when Jay Inslee was running for president, I should go find this. I took a picture of Jay Inslee, and I went out around Seattle asking people, "Do you know who this is?"
That's funny.
Like, no one did. And then because we also had one of our affiliates, I think in Iowa, also take a picture of Jay Inslee around to say, "Hey, do you know who this is?" And no one did, right? And so that enthusiasm for Jay Inslee, it's not real enthusiasm. It's enthusiasm to vote for Democrats because people are, so scared of something different. You mentioned Lauren Culp could bring a crowd. Unfortunately for Lauren Culp, it was like the same 700 people at every rally. I think it gave him a full
Dude, that is true.
His ability
Where are you going? Well, we're just leaving Port Orchard. We're going to Shoreline for tomorrow's rally.
Yeah.
I'll see all of you there. But
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I will.
Ferguson, I'll just say quickly on Bob. I don't think that he's been look at his social media accounts. I mean, he had an endorsement from former Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best, and he got eviscerated for it from the right and the left. From the right because of her deleted text messages over CHOP, and from the left because she's a cop.
Yeah.
So his approval ratings really aren't that good. But again, I think any goodwill he gets from Governor Inslee will be the D next to his name on the ballot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One more thing: is he the presumptive favorite though for the Democrat nomination? I mean, I can't see anybody else. Denny Heck, maybe, or anybody else.
Anybody?
No
else,
question.
really?
No question. Yeah. When Dave Reichert entered the race, it became a two-person race immediately. We already know, absent any sort of remarkable thing we weren't expecting, in my opinion, who the general election folks are going to be. It's going to be Reichert versus Ferguson.
For sure. And Epstein's dead, so we can't get that back book. So, I mean, nothing says I love the people of Washington like taking a barrel full of apples across the maggot quarantine line. God bless Inslee. He's got a way with words, man.
I don't know what we'll do without him. It would be fun.
Yeah,
Brandy, I'm looking forward to learning what we're going to do without him. I'm looking forward to that. It's like, yeah.
Who's worse, Sideshow Bob or Jay Inslee?
I don't know.
Bob Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thought too. I mean,
that's a scary dude right there, man. He's got the power of the pen and the courts, man, and he's not afraid to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Bob Ferguson supports the same policies as Jay Inslee, but he's incredibly intelligent and he knows how to do things in a way that can withstand legal muster. That's a dangerous man right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Brandy, I'm going to ask you a national question really quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go national just for a second. Can you please just give me your synopsis on the 13 million legal charges against Donald Trump, and what? Hold on, and what that might mean for Republicans come 2024? Because I am deathly afraid that this will by default give Biden 4 more years, because the Republican Party won't leave him in their rear view and move on to a better candidate that can pick up moderates and middle ground voters.
Yeah, I mean, how about them Brussels sprouts, right? I mean, there's so we'd rather talk about literally anything, but it's funny because I struggle with this every day on the show because I have Trump fatigue. I have Trump indictment fatigue. But at the same time, I believe in law and order, and I don't like the guy very much. I never voted for him. I never want to vote for him or plan to, and I don't want him to run again. But I also see, this sort of monster that the media created, and it's just all just too much. And I hear that from Democratic friends as well. But I do share the concern that you have about how do you really facing that many indictments, many of which carry the potential of prison time. How do you put your eggs in that basket and then that basket goes to prison? And then you're like, well, what do we do now? And it's hard because then that's kind of giving Democrats what they want, right? Is like Donald Trump out of the way, or what they say they want. I don't know if that's what they really want. I know the networks don't want that because he's ratings gold still for the networks. But yeah, I'm concerned, but there's no candidates I love. I mean, I wouldn't vote for Trump, but I don't see any Republican candidates who are seem like they could slip in or win the hearts and minds of Trump supporters. I mean, had you asked me 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, Nikki Haley. And then Nikki Haley went all flip-floppy on us. And had you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said Ron DeSantis. But then Ron DeSantis spent the last 6 months trying to out-Trump Trump, and now he's painfully annoying. I really love Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. He's a no-name person, but he's in the race, and I wish people would give him more consideration because he's young, he's moderate, he's energetic, and he has really, really good ideas that he's able to articulate in a compelling way. I would love to see him get a little more attention on the national stage. But Trump, I don't know what Republicans are going to do about that.
Yeah. Tim Scott?
Tim Scott's fine. Tim Scott's fine. I thought he totally fumbled his campaign announcement. Tim Scott has, and in fact, I'm going on Fox and Friends this morning to talk about Tim Scott and his sort of.
Make sure you mention you were on Outlaw Radio the night before.
Oh, God, yeah, just do that. I think they're having me on because they want to talk about how Tim Scott is like peddling this common sense message. And my phrase for my show is like common sense. In fact, I have one of my shirts on right now. It says Common Sense 2020.
Yes.
I should wear this on Fox News later.
You should.
I like that messaging as long as it's not just like lip flap, because like I said, there's a lot of candidates who pretend to want common sense and want consensus and be moderate because they know that the middle wins elections. But it's like, okay, what are your ideas? I mean, I'd like to hear him articulate and reach across the aisle and say on things like the border. He has talked about fentanyl, for instance. There are so many issues as it relates to the crisis on the southern border that are no-brainers for both parties to work together if they can just stop focusing so much on hating each other and trying to win elections, like the fentanyl crisis. It's killing people in every community in this country, red and blue, old and young, rich and poor, homeless and housed. And the fact that you cannot have people come together and say, hey, this crisis is killing people, we need to stop the hemorrhaging, is absolutely absurd to me. So I think if he can get out there and talk about it in a more direct, concise, and detailed way, maybe he can gain momentum. I think the latest Fox News power polling had him like at third behind DeSantis. So that's promising for him.
Well, that's good. We'll have to look that. I've been like, I pick one candidate at a time. I try to follow up and really look into them. Right now I'm doing Perry Johnson. Before that, I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, he's got some great ideas, but Perry's ideas about cutting everything back at just 2% a year, really good solutions. And very few people seem right now to be wanting to run for president and put their nuts and bolts ideas out there. So it is kind of nice to see. And like you, when it comes to Trump, I supported him at first, but my God, I mean, he makes me want to vomit. I don't want to share air with him in the same room at this point in life. And I'm just, I'm like, please, I've been saying this for months, please do not let him run again, and now he's just getting, like, are you kidding me? He's getting stronger the more he gets into trouble. Like, that's like the bully getting, extra punches in his man card for beating up somebody. It's nuts. I don't understand it.
100%. And actually, I'm glad that someone else mentioned Vivek, because I feel like almost dirty being like, I kind of like Vivek.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
But I saw this great interaction between him and this independent journalist who was non-binary, which I'm I'm not sure what that means. I think it means you don't choose any gender. But anyway, you could tell that she, I don't want to tread lightly, this individual came up to him and asked a question like to pick a fight, basically. And the way he diffused the situation, stuck to his messaging, but was respectful about it and effective about it, I was like, wow, that was a masterclass in political discourse. So he does.
Brandy, we are right up against top of the hour news. We love you. We appreciate you. Let's do this again sometime. This was fun.
Yes, this was fun. Glad we can make it work. Bye,
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
I'll send you
for
Brussels
popping
sprouts
in.
for your wedding gift.
Okay.
All right. Brandy Cruz, everybody check her out at the Undivided Podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. This is Outlaw Radio. Top of the hour news is next. And we're back after this on Mega Talk. Hey, Brandy. Are
Yeah.
you still there? Are
Yeah,
you still
I'm
there?
here.
All right. So we're on Facebook, so now you can swear.
I was just texting to say you'll have to put me in the green room because my controls are across the room, so I'll just sit here looking weird.
Oh, that's odd. No, we'll just leave you there for the rest of the night.
No.
Brandy agreed for half an hour. 5 hours later, we're still in her studio.
And, well, you'd see me like in my jammies and stuff because I'm sleeping at work tonight because I have to be on Fox and Friends at like 2:15 a.m. our time. So I'm like, I'm not even going home.
That's right.
Is there anything you want to talk about on Facebook that
I want to ask you a question that's not related to any of this,
Okay.
and I'm not sure. Have
My
you ever
weight
driven a derby car before, Brandy Cruz?
Uh-oh.
No.
I know where he's going.
Would you be interested in driving a derby car if we can get a sixth car?
I don't know what that means.
So okay,
You mean demolition derby?
Yeah.
Let us explain.
So
Go out and
so-
smash into other cars.
So every year
in
the
a
kids,
controlled environment.
every year, well, you don't smash it; it's a race. So every year the Kitsap Destruction Derby does a demolition derby event. It's the last event of the year. They do it in September, and every year, this will be the third year we've had it. It's we have the Outlaw Radio Network Invitational. So State Representative Jesse Young won 2 years ago, and he's coming back this year to race again. And then DT, our own DT, won last year, and so we're gonna be at the Derby. We're gonna race cars, and if we can get a sixth car, would Brandy Cruz like to race a car on August 9th?
Here's the thing. I want to say
September
yes. However, what is the likelihood of loss of limb or my face getting screwed up before my wedding?
Very low. No, I mean, because
Very low. Not
very-
zero.
Well,
but
nothing's
very low.
zero. Listen, nothing's zero. Hosting a podcast, something can happen. It's. I mean, you're in a car with a roll cage. You got a helmet on. You're strapped in with the
It's a 5-point harness.
Do you
5-point
remember?
harness, yeah.
Hold on. Do you remember Pinky Tuscadero and
No.
Fonzie? Really? Is that,
No,
is that-
we're way
Yeah.
older than Brandy. is.
Yes, but
Way
so there was a great Happy Days
We are way
episode where they
older
were
than you.
driving D Derby cars. So it's just it's a fun race. They do that at the Kitsap County Fairgrounds, and it's been a real blast.
I think that sounds like a blast. Why don't you text me the details? I'll ask the man, Candy, my fiance.
The man candy is that?
Is that demeaning?
No,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Call him your man chop. Man chop.
He
If
is,
my
he's
wife called me her candy, I'd love it.
He's my trophy fiance. I'll ask him if it's okay, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, all right.
See, Kevin, that's how you successfully have a good relationship.
Although I'm a little worried that Kevin might think I'm too heavy for the car. He might have to check in on my weight. I might have to-
Wait a minute. Wait. Whoa. I'm not the one that brought up your diet. That was Paul.
Wait,
Thank you
was
very
it
much.
Paul?
Yes, it was Paul that brought up your diet, not me. Listen, hold on. Look at the camera.
I'm sorry.
Kevin's in pink. Paul's dressed as the douchebag. Okay, don't confuse the two. I would never bring up your diet, Brandy. That's a.
Here's the
I
thing.
stuck up for you.
I'm in my studio, so I can't actually see you guys. That's over there. So I thought it was Kevin. It just sounded like
It
a very
was Kevin. He's just
It was
he's
not
just talking
Kevin.
shit.
Stop your lying.
All right.
Brandy, I'll have Tom send you over this stuff. Thanks for coming on. We'll do this again
Yeah,
sometime.
it was
This will be
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, that
And these
sounds
two
good.
microphone hogs didn't let me get any of my questions.
Go ahead, ask.
We're on Facebook now.
Stop
Who
crying,
cares?
Tom.
I'll give you one more
Yeah.
before you guys have to put me in the green room. so we
Oh
can go to bed.
no, you get some sleep.
Somebody's got
Thank
to
you.
put baby in a
Yeah.
corner.
Thank you for for entertaining my last second text message to you. I actually have to blame Philip for it because he sent me a link in our chat going, "Hey, here's the link. Let's see if it works." I'm like, might be interesting if we have Brandy on there as a test.
So this was your guys' test run that this new system that you put into place?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Cool.
Brandy, we love you. Thank you so
Better
much.
than what I thought. I thought somebody canceled and you just needed me last minute. So I feel better.
No. Oh.
No.
You are welcome anytime. And now that we have the whole video set up, you don't even have to come into BFE to be on the show.
In all seriousness,
although this is where the Toasted Joe coffee whiskey is.
That's true.
Very true. Which we still have this much left of that. So as soon as
really?
call you guys and say, "Hey, can I come back on the show?"
Yeah.
Brandy, I also ship if you want.
No, shut up.
No,
Then she'd have to come in studio.
Why? I
right.
know, but I mean,
We
if
got
she
20
wants to come in
seconds.
studio, she should come in because she wants to. You know, not because we're trying to bribe her with
All right,
booze.
we got to go. Brandy, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brandy.
Have a good night.
Take
Put her in the
care.
green room. Put her in the green room.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright.
St. Paul brings up Brandy's weight and I get blamed for it?
A bunch of a-holes.
That is so out of bounds.
You gotta learn how to do radio, bro. Like, I was totally leading her down the perfect path.
Yeah.
Talking about her wedding, because I follow her show. I listen to her show on radio.
The music's too loud. We can't hear you.
I know it's okay.
Okay, try that again. Go ahead.
I said you gotta learn how that setup works in radio. You didn't even let me get halfway into the first sentence before you're ripping on me, because I knew she was getting married, and she openly talks about the diet that she's been on and how happy and pleased with the results she's been. And you were sitting here busting a nut
You
on
never
Brussels
bring
sprouts.
up a woman's weight.
No,
man.
yes,
you
you
never
can. Yes, you
do.
can.
No,
Kevin, who's been married twice?
Who's been divorced? Okay. Anyway, I can't use that either. Anyway,
I was like, wait a second.
You don't ever bring up a woman's weight.
Yes,
ever.
you can have an adult conversation with adult people.
Here, we'll bring Bob Ross on. So you do know the story about how's it go? Men who mention a woman's weight. No, I'll tell the joke later.
Okay, tell the joke.
You don't, unless you're married for a long time and you're having a discussion about it.
Oh, no, that's right. It was women who carry a few extra pounds live longer than men who mention it.
Yeah,
correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
I just can't believe we
cute,
finally get
and
Brandy.
It's funny, but no. Listen,
We finally get Brandy Cruz to come back on the show.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to come on. We're going to talk about topics
Yes.
that matter to the people of Washington State.
Yes.
And the first thing you want to bring up is her diet.
No, that wasn't the first thing I brought up. Well, listen.
No, you brought up her impending marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then her diet.
Because she openly talks about it on a regular
Because
basis.
it's a sponsor. Yeah.
That's right. And so, and I thought 3010 Weight Loss was the sponsor. So,
Oops.
but it's like Eastside
Weight Loss Center.
Yeah.
Eastside Weight Loss.
They're really big on, a lot of radio hosts are taking part of that.
Yeah. So I know she's been super thrilled and very happy with it. And like she said, she's been very open with her journey doing that. So, you know what? It's good times, and it's great to be able to have a conversation with somebody like that. It's very open. And it allowed me to move right into the Brussels sprouts conversation.
All right. Well, look, here's the deal.
God bless
Here's
Brussels
the deal.
sprouts.
You guys all need to leave the Brussels sprouts alone.
I agree.
There is now
Nasty.
a running list of things I don't like being talked about on this show. Calling me daddy. Brussels sprouts.
Drink.
Yeah.
Vader.
Anyway. Hate all of you. All right.
Vegas.
Paul, what would you like to talk about? Do you have something you'd like to talk about?
Well, yeah, I did post some in the chat room.
I'm not drinking.
So I wanted to talk about Perry Johnson and his 2% plan. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, listen, this is the first time in history that we pay more in interest on the national debt than our budget is for the United States military. It's a big deal, right? And his plan is about basically reducing the federal budget by 2% each year. We all know, I grew up in a house where my dad would frequently, over the years, each year he would talk about the use it or lose it mentality of his shop. They'd spend all this money in at the end of the summer, so that way they'd have that money again the next year, right? If they didn't spend it, they would lose it.
Yep.
So that was the mentality going forward. He's 1,000% right about it. It's a major waste. And, it's one of those things where it's the right move and it's a hard conversation to have. If you're a federal government employee,
which I am.
Well, I don't know if your particular department does it, but like say you're a shipyard worker, right? And you still to this day have that use it or lose it mentality with regards to the money that your shop gets, right? Do you really want to have the conversation about cutting back 2% every year? Are you're going to be biased about it probably. So it is a hard conversation to have, but at some point, right? At some point, you've got to be able to look at the bigger picture and go, yeah, it can only last so long, that whole spending more money than we're bringing in thing. And you got to address it, and it's not going to be easy, and the cuts have to be made. It's either that or wait until it blows up and you're bankrupt. So I appreciate where he was coming at, and he's the only candidate right now that is addressing that issue, which I didn't even know the guy's name. I've been going through the candidates one at a time, just trying to learn as much as I can about them. This is his big push. He's doing some of the candidates are trying some new techniques, giving away gas cards stuff, because they have to have a certain amount of unique donors at $1 each in order to get on the debate stage.
Yep.
So I think Perry has qualified for the debate stage, but what he was doing, he's friends with Big and Rich. Now this guy, has like 80 different companies that he started up. He's a total entrepreneur. Okay. Yep. And he makes the point. He goes, somebody needs to go into running this country that's never driven their companies into bankruptcy and actually do approach it as a business, which it is. And I have always felt that way. It's one of the reasons I like Ross Perot.
I was just going to say Ross Perot said very similar things.
Yes. And now he is a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, but he is not afraid of bashing on other Republicans. I mean, he's the first one. He's standing up there talking about how, look, the reason we are in this hole financially is as much Republicans' fault as it is Democrats' fault. So he's not playing the blame game. He's saying it's all of us, right? And God bless him for it. And in talking to Brandy, she's a closet Vivek girl, right? Yep. And good for her for coming out and talking about that. Vivek, I think, is probably the smartest guy that's running for president right now. Dude is just absolutely brilliant.
One of the things that I would like to talk about, and I don't even know where to start, because I do like Vivek, but I can't get out of my head this article I read here not long ago about how 47% of the U.S. population is willing to consider a third party. 47%. That's a big number. What's that mean next year?
Nothing.
I disagree with that. Not if it was 20%, I would say it means nothing. But nearly half the country is fed up with the authoritarian left and the authoritarian right, and it's time for something to change. I just don't know what that change is, because right now it's grasping at straws. There's no household recognition.
What you just said, I want to point out how incredibly honest it is. You're right. Right? Yeah. Who do you turn to? Where do you look? And I think that's the biggest quandary that is going to be facing this nation, both sides, over the next year. As the scandals unfold that Joe Biden and his son have created for themselves, they are going to find themselves losing, I think, a juggernaut's worth of support from the Democratic Party, because Dems are openly discussing other people running. And they should be, just like Republicans have openly been praising and looking towards other candidates besides Donald Trump. my fear is that there are enough people still in each one of those camps to ensure that those two still make it through the primaries. And then we're right back to square one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think that a majority of Americans would rather see two other people.
Yes.
I really believe that. You too?
I think
from the independent, yeah.
Yeah, and I think 47% of those people don't care if there's a D or an R or a
facts
Q or a P or an S or whatever next to their name. I truly believe that 2024 is going to be different.
I did you do LSD before you came in studio tonight?
I did not.
No.
No.
Did you do some drugs before you came in?
No. I've had a couple nips off my flask, and that's been it.
Here's the deal. I'm sure 47% of people said in a poll that they would consider a third party. 47% of those people are not going to vote for a third party. They'll think about it for a second, but they're not going to vote for it.
That's the topic of the conversation, right? What are the options?
The options are a vote for a third party in today.
A vote for a third party in 2024,
is a wasted vote.
It is not a wasted vote.
It's a wasted vote because it will not be enough to catapult somebody.
It is never a wasted vote.
And Paul's comment that most of the country wants anybody besides these two dimwits, if that were true, then we would have people besides these two dimwits. I mean, the dimwits...
Well, you do. You have like 12 Republicans running, and you have like 4 Democrats so far.
But here's what's going to happen. Donald Trump is still the presumptive leader in the clubhouse right now.
Well, and
maybe
he should be numbers-wise, right? I mean, he's got a 40 percentage point lead.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that means that 42, 43, 45% of Republicans being polled say they want Trump. And right now in the Democrat circles, I think it's like 60, 70 or whatever for Biden right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that while I want to agree with you that most people want anybody besides those two, that's not what the poll numbers show. And the fact of the matter is when we come through these primaries, the American people
which haven't even started yet, by the way.
But the American people will have the opportunity to upset the apple cart.
Well, they will
and pick anybody besides those two,
God,
and yet they still won't.
They will because
they do.
The trial is set for Trump's trial for the Georgia charges. Tell me this isn't political, okay? They're set for March 4th.
Well,
and the next day is Super Tuesday.
The clarification for that is the prosecuting attorney in Georgia has asked for March 4th.
Right.
But insider experts say there's no way that trial will happen before the election. They just the prosecuting attorney is going to get shut down and it's going to be pushed out and it won't be until after the election.
Which is even worse.
Totally politically motivated. I totally agree with you. That is blatantly political. The fact of the matter is that, and this is not an anti-Trump statement, okay? This is not me ripping on Trump.
You don't have to justify it.
Well, I do because people will accuse me of saying this because I don't like Trump.
You still voted for him. We all know how you feel.
The first time
I feel
around.
the same way. It's all good, man. It's all good.
The fact that Trump is still in the lead at this point, with multiple state and federal charges filed against him, some of which he cannot pardon himself out of because they're state charges. The threat of prison time hanging over an active candidate, and the fact that he's still in the lead says far more about our political system, not about Trump, right? Trump could be the second coming of Jesus, and I would say the exact same thing.
Well,
the fact that there are multiple criminal charges against him that could result in jail time, and it's not that he's even in the top 3. He's in the lead by huge bounds.
I think you make a valid point.
Should scare the crap out of people.
But that's not the political system's fault. That's the people.
It scares the crap out of me that we're looking at possibly
Shirts
a very
without nipples cut out scare you.
No, they don't. not even a little. They scare you, not me.
No, with the nipples cut out scare me.
Oh, okay.
I said never mind.
Move along.
Mick Sheldon with a really good comment in the chat.
Yeah,
he says enough Dems will vote for Biden because they don't want Trump. Enough Republicans will vote for Trump because they don't want Biden. If you add both the parties' elected voters, it would be a majority. Just that majority will not decide on one other guy. And I agree with Mick.
For sure. 100%.
But here's the issue. The Democrats could put anybody else on the ticket to go up against Trump besides Biden if that's what they wanted. And the same thing for Republicans when it comes to Trump. And they don't. Like, I agree with Mick's premise. When you get to the general election, it's party against party. It's we have the lesser of two evils. But I'm talking about in the primaries where Democrats could say, pancake ice cream froyo guy needs to go. And Republicans could say, the loudmouth, blowhard,
say it, orange dude, say it,
orange dude with criminal charges pending needs to go.
Okay.
And the parties could police themselves before the general election, but they won't do it. And that's what I don't understand for both parties.
So
Go ahead.
now, before we got talking about, shirts with or without nipples, I was going to say that, the impending, potential bribery proof. the impending
Kevin's body parts do not reflect the views of Outlaw Radio
nobody saw it besides
Network.com.
Paul. Like, I was smart about
Oh
how
no,
I-
it was on camera.
No, it was not. I was smart about how I did.
Couldn't see it. We didn't see it on camera. We just saw Paul's.
You're supposed to work with me, Phil.
No, I knew what I was doing.
Paul
I'm a
was
trained
telling
professional.
us his IQ there.
Go ahead, Tom.
the impending potential bribery charges for Biden. Those haven't done anything to poll numbers either.
Right.
Yeah,
This is not just a Republican thing. This is a both party thing.
It's we're on AM, aren't we?
No, yes, we're on AM.
I can't use the words I want to use.
So I think you both make incredibly good points, but
Cheers.
I will say that I don't think that there's a lot of taking a couple of key points into account here, right?
Mhm.
On the Republican side, most of the people, and the reason why Trump's numbers are going up, are convinced that everything about these charges is political in nature. So it is cementing his base, right? The left and the people that are prosecuting and pushing charges against him have this mindset. He's the worst thing ever for the United States. We have to bend or break whatever rules we have to in order to prosecute this guy. And listen, I've heard it said before. If I thought that I was saving the world from Adolf Hitler, I'd be like, I got to break the rules and do whatever I got to do to not let him get elected, right? That is the mindset of a lot of people on the left. Now, when you look at Joe Biden, right now, there is a ton of circumstantial evidence. There's a whole lot of smoke, but ain't nobody walked up with that flaming torch yet, right? It's
Well-
there. You know it's
Mhm.
there, but you can't
Yeah.
quite see it through the smoke.
Well, they're trying to bury it because they're not investigating things properly
Well,
either.
I don't necessarily even agree with that, because I think
Well,
a lot of
there's not
Democrats,
an independent third-party
a
counsel
lot-
doing the investigation.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is that I think you're going to know what's up with Biden with regards to how the media covers him. Right now, the media at all know or believe that Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump, and they are assuming Donald Trump will be the nominee. Okay. Until somebody else steps up, until they have some sort of flaming proof, that smoking gun that, oh crap, we can't ignore it. Biden took bribery money, right? Until
I think we're
until
5
that's-
minutes from that.
Until that smacks him in the face.
I think we're 5 minutes from that. I mean, it's a figure of speech,
Okay.
but I think it's around
It's
the
like,
corner.
you know about a breaking story or
You-
something?
Yeah, no.
I fear if that happens because
I do.
Don't
too.
fear it. Embrace the suck.
No,
No, I fear
here's
it.
why I feared it. If that happened, consider this, Paul. Consider an election where both the candidates are guys with potential charges hanging over their heads. One for election interference and one for bribery. And they are the two that show down. You've talked for years about how we are more and more fractured every day, and these elections will just fracture us more. Imagine if that is the last result of what we have to choose from.
We have two
We will
corrupt
be
crooks.
Yeah, we will be
The-
even more fractured than we were before.
There's going to be a pissed off middle that's going to take up, they're going to riot in the streets. The average American, because we've got, God, we're on AM. I can't use the words I want to use. We've got two clowns that are both obviously corrupt because they've got charges up against them.
No, not true. In this country, we are innocent until proven
I'm
guilty.
talking hypothetically here. Okay, so if there's charges up against them, I didn't say they were guilty. So we've got two clowns that are both, pending charges, and yet we've got a population that is held accountable to the letter of the law, and we're supposed to pick one of these two ass clowns
that we know are not right. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying.
People are going to riot in the streets.
That is a fair.
That's what I worry about.
And you
worry.
should. It is a fair assessment. And I will tell you right now, if that stuff happens, the first person I will be holding accountable for this is not Joe Biden or Donald Trump.
No, it's us.
It's the media.
We the people.
Because the media, in order to make money and sell advertising, are the ones promoting all of this.
I don't care. It's still we the people.
So
we the people need to have the responsibility to go and vet our
Tom, I don't disagree with you. That's the point I'm making. All I'm trying to get through to you, though, is that we can't. You have sycophants that believe that Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus Christ, no matter what he does, right? You have people that believe that
Joe Biden
is like the anti-Trump. Yeah. And he's going to save everybody from Satan himself.
You're right.
Right? So we're not going to change those people's minds. And these are the same people who still believe the QAnon stuff, right? Yeah. On the right. They still believe that, dead babies are having a chemical taken from their blood when they're afraid so that the elites can live longer. That's the depth of the thought process. Okay. And
I hadn't heard that conspiracy.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's out there.
Yep.
Right. And so these are real things. And these are also people. Listen, was Donald Trump's behavior illegal at any point in time? Are any of these charges justified? Look, best guess says maybe a quarter of them are justified charges. But is this politically motivated? 100%. His base knows it's politically motivated. And they know that the whole reason he's being prosecuted isn't because he broke laws that he needs to go to jail for. We can all, when you listen to the phone call he had with Georgia, right? That was a very blasé phone call, right? That's like me talking to Kevin, right? Mm-hmm. Kevin knows my ex-wife in this sense, right? And I don't mean anything about this. It's just a circumstance.
You're just using it.
Be like me calling Kevin, goes, I want to leave my wife, man, but I know she's having an affair. I can't prove it. I just got to figure out how. I gotta know for sure, and then I'm gonna leave her. That's effectively the conversation that Donald Trump was having. He's going, I gotta win this election. I gotta find 20,000 votes. It was never, you go make 20,000 votes appear somewhere. That's not what was said.
Right.
And so it's not a stretch to look at this stuff that he's being accused of and charged with and go, dude, no. It's easy to see through the political muck that is being, and so people on the right like me look at the evidence. We got text messages from Hunter Buying saying, I'm giving dad half my money. After getting $4.5 million from a Chinese energy company.
Yeah, I read them this afternoon.
Yes, not freaking difficult to make that stretch, man.
Nope.
Especially when he comes out and changes policy as a result to help that particular said company. So this is not a stretch to figure this out. So both sides are feeling increasingly like what? Like they're being ripped off. Like they're being screwed. Each side feels like my side is getting screwed by your side. And that fissure is being forced open wider and wider by media.
Hold that thought. I'm going to take a break. We come back. I'm going to give you another example how the left-leaning media is starting to turn on Biden.
Oh, good.
That's the key to me. If the media turns on Biden, that's when it's game over.
I'll give you an example. Outlaw Radio. We're back after this. Outlaw Radio. I like that I'm learning to use some things in this new format that we got.
My buddy just messaged me and asked if anybody wants to take 3 tickets to the Seahawks versus Dallas. He's like, nobody wants to go see Dallas play.
What day is it?
Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah, I can't.
How much?
I can't.
Well, he's not offering them for sale. He was offering to me his friend.
Yeah, still,
you just take your son. Take your
price
boys.
is still
I can't.
The price is still too high.
The prices are definitely high, but Oh, because I already got plans for this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta get my hair done, nail. You know, it's just too much to do. Anything to avoid the Cowboys.
I think it'd be fun to watch it.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, you didn't.
Paul hates kittens?
Yeah,
Wait,
true
wow.
story.
Well, Paul, what do you have against kittens?
Why would you ask a question like that?
Because there was just a banner on the screen that said Paul hates kittens.
Oh.
Like that.
Okay.
And I was just sending Brandy a thank you text, and I looked up and I saw that Paul hates kittens. Now I'm seeing that Paul's a booger eater.
Now we just got to figure out how to teach Kevin how to share his screen. So when he wants to share
what?
video or picture,
I'll be nice to you.
Vader.
I'm having a lot of fun.
just think Dennis will be proud. I fixed Simeon all on my own.
Father figure.
I'm having a lot of fun. It's a good time. When we come back, I'll give you some other examples of how the left may be inching closer to turning on Biden, which does bring to mind the question: if Biden does get pounced on by the media,
You're ruining my question.
Who's the heir apparent?
Mhm.
Who takes over?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too.
Who's in the ring if both of them are out? That's my question.
Well, I think the Republican answer is pretty simple. I think DeSantis automatically elevates right now, just based on the polls. I think DeSantis would automatically elevate, and I think
then you have a real race.
I think a DeSantis Tim Scott ticket would be pretty freaking awesome. I think,
But then if Biden's out,
well, that's the great question, right? I
Mhm.
mean, most people would insist it
really?
has to be Kamala, right? Because she's the vice president, but there's no support for her.
no.
It would have to be Newsom, right?
I think Newsom.
I mean,
Who's
yeah.
worse, Harris or Newsom?
Newsom.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a track record of enforcing leftist policies, and
Look at the country
Right.
of California.
yeah,
No,
California,
yeah.
Californistan has become
Kamala's
a
got
shithole.
experience of working her way to the top on her knees. She could negotiate some peace in the Middle East her own way. Let me tell you that right now.
jeez.
Well, speaking of that, Outlaw Radio, 10 seconds.
.com! Said it for you, fuckers.
Welcome back to Outlaw Radio.
Yeah.
Kevin missed the finger that Phil just gave
I
him.
saw it out of I saw it out of my eye.
It's
I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
I spy with my little eyes.
it's like giving them finger or the happy little trees.
Happy trees.
Outlaw Radio.
Philip?
Paul's over there confused.
Phil?
Not confused, son. Not confused.
Not confused at all.
No, Dad. Oh, I'm so sorry. It slipped out. Must have been my mind thinking of tickets.
Take a drink.
Yeah. By the way, the ticker on the website brought to you by Black Ring Spirits. Everything we say on there is true. Brought to you by Black Ring Spirits.
Paul voted
go.
for Obama, and we have. You are so unoriginal, dude. I still love you, but you're incredibly unoriginal.
You're right. Hold on.
There we
let
go.
me-
Black
You've
Ring
been doing
Spirits.
that joke since Obama ran for president, dude.
Margie says Elvis is on.
There we go.
What?
That's better.
I don't know. Elvis is on somewhere.
In the ghetto.
Says right there. Elvis is on.
I don't know.
That's something.
Paul, you're
He-
in the
he-
black book, huh?
He might have been on the island, but he still
What?
didn't witness him kill himself.
Who's Black Book?
I don't know. What are you talking about, Lori?
I know what I'm talking about.
Is it Epstein's or?
Read the ticker.
Paul voted for Obama,
No.
and we have proof.
Yeah, that's
The
it.
next one.
Mhm.
No, that's it. That's all you got to see. That's all.
No, it's
All
not
good
what
in the-
all he's
all good
got
in the
to
hood.
see.
Good. All good in the hood, man.
Now,
Let me tell
remember,
you, all good
what
in the
you're
hood.
viewing on like the stream,
Oh, that's cool.
you have a
put
bit
the
of a delay.
Black Ring Spirits logo up in the corner.
Yeah,
I dig
good
it.
stuff.
What?
Good
Right
things
on.
were brought
How'd
to you
you do
by
that?
Magic.
Oh, I just have an outlaw.
Yeah, keep
We just-
reading the ticker.
All right, can we get to our story? You can
I
give
just
her a
have an
thumbs.
outlaw
We'll get
logo.
to our story.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll get to our story. There you go.
Don't push it.
All right, fact check.
Don't push it.
What are we fact checking?
Fact check. This is from CNN.
That's effed up, dude.
Paul was on Joe Biden.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's one.
That's one. Here we go. So CNN did a fact check on Joe Biden.
Okay.
And this is why I think it's indicative of the left slowly pulling away from Joe.
We got the wrong flavor of ice cream.
Because this is the stuff that they would do with Trump on a regular basis when they just wanted to prove that Trump was a doofus, right? And it was just the slow, itsy bitsy little, not the blatant, oh my God, he's awful. Just here's some proof of where he lied. And now they're doing this to Biden. So they have 4 things in this story. 3 of them come down to little personal anecdotes that Biden did. You know, Biden gave another story about how he used to ride the Amtrak, and he would talk to a Amtrak conductor named Angelo Negri, and just you know, this is how I connect with people. I used to ride the Amtrak. I'm a regular guy like you guys. I just had conversations with the conductor. Well, the problem is that the conductor was dead. He'd already died at the times for all of Biden's little anecdotes. So that was one. He talked about how Biden was born in a hospital 6 days after his grandfather died at the same hospital. Yeah, that wasn't true because both of his grandfathers died at different hospitals. None of the ones the same one as him. And both dramatically different time differences. Biden did a story about the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh, but let me share this with you. So this is the third one. This is actual policy stuff, right?
Okay.
So Biden said that, quote, unlike the last president, dig it, Trump, in my first 2 years in office, even with all we've done, I'm the first one to cut the federal debt by $1.7 trillion.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
So this is CNN's quote.
Mhm.
Okay. Quote, it's false, as the White House has implicitly acknowledged in the official transcript by striking through the word debt and replacing it with the word deficit. As CNN noted in February, when Biden made a near identical claim, Biden does not reduce the national debt. In fact, the national debt has increased from about $27.8 trillion on his first day in office in 2021 to $32.7 trillion today.
It's effectively 33
an
trillion
increase of nearly $5 trillion.
Do you know what that works out to, by the way, per family?
A lot.
$600 a month.
For how long? Perpetuity?
Perpetuity until it's paid off. That's,
now there's
that's
more.
just to cover the interest.
CNN says it is the federal deficit, the 1 year difference between spending and revenues, that's declined by $1.7 trillion between 2020 and now. However, as ESPN has noted, it's questionable how much credit Biden actually deserves for that, since the decline happened overwhelmingly because of emergency pandemic spending from the end of Donald Trump's administration that expired as it was planned to. So the $1.7 trillion that we saved was actually because Trump said, at the end of this spending, we'd like it to expire, which is exactly what it did. So the $1.7 trillion in savings is actually because of who? Donald Trump.
Dum, dum, dum.
In fact, it goes on to say, again, this is CNN's words, right? I'm not reading
This
from
could
some-
not have been done by any of their on-air television personalities, right? This was clearly somebody sitting at a desk writing this.
But this is not this is not a Fox News like source,
It
right?
wasn't like Sean Hannity salivating all over himself.
It goes on to say, in fact, independent analysts say Biden's own new laws and executive orders has significantly added to current and projected future debts, not reduced those debts. And again,
he's a Democrat. What do you expect?
This is buried on CNN, but it is on the front page. And this could be another chip at the base of the foundation of Joe Biden in the media, because at some point, when the media realizes the Donald Trump dog and pony show is about to dry up,
I don't think
they got to have a new one.
Yeah, I don't think his base cares, though. I mean,
I agree with you. I don't think his base cares.
Yeah,
I don't
the
think his
Democratic
base,
the Democratic base doesn't give a rat's
Okay,
ass
hold on.
if taxes went up or not. I
If
mean, they
49
expect taxes
I
to
think
go
it's
up.
the moderate.
If 49% voted for Biden in 2020, I think that's about that, 49 or 50%.
Sure.
Let's say 49% voted for Biden.
Yeah.
Of that 49%, what percentage of that is the base? that doesn't care.
Oh, maybe 20%.
I would say 30-ish, but okay, 20. Sure.
So let's split it. Hold on. Let's
25.
split it. Let's say 25%. Let's split both of your numbers and say 25%. That still means that 24% that helped decide the election
do care.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard put into these terms while I was researching Perry Johnson today, because a lot of people have a hard time. You hear the talking heads, people like us. We talk about this much per household, per all this other stuff, right? And people hear inflation, prices are going up. Everybody is used to the idea of going to the store and prices always going up a little. But in the last year, 2 years, they've gone up a lot, right?
Right.
It's getting hard to feed my family.
Well, that's why I'm about to tell you why it's gotten so hard. Check this out. Okay. The interest payments alone on our national debt amount to approximately $600 per household per month. On top of that, you add inflation. Inflation is costing, in other words, what it costs you now versus 2 years ago to buy the same goods and services, it's $730 a month.
About $700.
Add the two together, it's $1,330 a month in extra spending, and you're guaranteed still making the exact same thing. Now do you understand why this stuff matters, right? That's a hell of a raise nobody got.
Except the government, the corporations.
Yes, for sure.
And it's interesting. Yeah. I think that CNN is really starting to signal to those who aren't the diehards, to those in the DNC. I think this article
and
other
testing the waters a little.
No, I think they're signaling that it's time for change.
I think CNN's kind of moving to the middle.
Yeah,
they're almost becoming reliable.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far.
I said almost.
What's in that bottle?
Yeah, right.
Just by contrast, though, how are you signaling? If you look at the MSNBC, the front page of MSNBC,
right,
it is a 100% attack on Republicans. Roger Stone, Donald Trump, that viral song. What was it called? Up in Birmingham. What was it?
The guy. The Rich in Richmond or something like that.
Yeah, so now...
Oh my God, did they really say that about the song?
Mega hit. The viral song isn't a working man's anthem, it's an attack on the poor. Like
that's an attack on the poor, that song. Like what words are they reading?
Everything MSNBC is anti-Republican, anti-Trump, anti-Republican, anti-Trump.
Oh, don't forget anti-white American.
Oh yeah. Because that's where they make their money. But I think that CNN is the one making the signal that's saying, hey, we need to back off of Biden, maybe he's not going to make it. Maybe we're going to test something else out.
If they're reading the tea leaves, it is the smart play.
Yeah.
Fox is doing it with Trump.
Yeah.
Some of the main commentators are still rah Trump.
Right.
But for the most part, and those are only, there's two late night guys, right? Hannity and Laura Ingraham. Those two are still rah Trump. Everybody else is hedging their bets now. Right. Brett Baer has always tried to maintain some credibility as an actual journalist. He's trying to he doesn't really get into the opinion stuff. Right. Greg Gutfeld's a comedian.
Right.
He busts on everybody.
Yeah.
They got rid of Tucker, so they don't have that. And even Tucker, he was not afraid to bust on Trump whenever he felt it was necessary. So, but everybody before Hannity are more straight news people. When you watch the women that are on the couch, when they have one male co-host that switches positions every week, it's what's that one called? Something like Outnumbered. And that's with Harris Faulkner, and then there's several other conservative women on the panel with her. But they have the network themselves has about 3 or 4 liberal women that they rotate through all the different shows, right? To give that opposite point of view. Now, what's interesting is when you look at MSNBC, that is not something that they do.
No,
they have claimed to do that, but they used to put Crystal Ball on there as a conservative.
Right, she's not.
She's not. I mean, she's a good moderate in my opinion. She's a traditional moderate.
Oh, she considers herself very liberal, almost progressive,
and that's okay.
Yeah,
but isn't that crazy? I consider her a moderate.
Right. No,
I know. You're like, she's pretty liberal, almost progressive, right? Yeah, but not quite there.
Oh no, she says she is progressive.
Does she?
Yes.
I think she has a strange identity crisis there.
Why?
Crystal
'Cause
ball.
I think she's more moderate. I don't see anything progressive out of her.
No, I think the reason is because she's not a sycophant about liberal and progressive
Yeah.
policies. She's not afraid to call out bad policy.
Correct,
To me, that's like sacrilege for the far left.
Oh, for the far left.
Yeah.
You should not
Right.
eat our own.
It's the same way for
don't
the far
call anything
right,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, right? You get, like people that come into our chat room and call me, "Paul, I'm not a conservative." Fiscal. You forgot the word fiscal, and and it's just it always cracks me up, right? Because I see a lot of people on the right that are the same freaking way.
Mhm.
And it blows my mind. I will say this. It's for those that don't know. So the show is morphing as you're seeing Kevin play with himself. I mean the computer and stuff over here, and he's working on trying to learn how to touch it effectively.
What does that have to do with
We're
anything?
working on changing some things up here on the show, and one of my personal goals is getting the message out there and getting us a broader audience and using social media to do that. And I was asked today by a guy from Texas that I was talking to. He's an advertising company. It was a completely different subject. We were talking to him about my construction business. We got to end up talking about the show. Anyway, point being was that something that I pointed out to him was I said, we all as a show see the incredible problem. Let's call it a dam across a very large river as a huge problem right now in this country. And that dam is represented by effectively the widening gap between the two sides in this country and the vitriol and hatred that's being created. Well, we all come from 4 wildly different backgrounds. Andy as well when she is here. Dennis as well when he's over behind the spit-proof glass. Wildly different backgrounds. We all still get along and we have the conversations, even the tough conversations. And it starts with us having the respect for each other to be able to have those hard conversations. That to me says we have a message to spread across the nation. And so that's the plan. That's what we're going to try to do.
Well, that conversation, the ability to have that conversation really comes down to the company you keep.
I totally think so. Yeah.
Right. We had right before the drag queen story hour. I had put a post, and I very, very seldom post on social media of any
That's true.
platform.
I almost never see you post.
Yeah, almost never. And I had put up a post to start a conversation on my personal page about the drag queen story hour thing, and there was some great conversation had on my personal page. I said nothing. All I did was pose the question, and then I let all the people in my friends list just have a conversation. And there was not one rude comment, not one. There wasn't one personal attack, and there were people came at things from directions I didn't expect to see coming. I mean, there were angles and points of view and all that were I never considered.
Yeah,
but not a single rude person. How do we get that?
Well, so
how do we do that as broadcasters?
This is not well. We won't, because if we're having the rough conversations, we are going to get the people that will attack, and they will.
I mean, yeah,
and
but how do we mitigate that?
Holly, get your adverb.
My point is that for us as a show, and for people that are listening to the show, what we provide is the they want to aspire to, like they all. Because we can sit and have the rough conversations, right? And we can all, Kevin doesn't throw or break headphones anymore, so we're okay there, right? But
I don't know why you keep taking.
But
I'm just over here letting you talk.
Well, did you see what you wrote on the damn screen?
I did. Do you remember how many times you said "daddy" in the last show?
I haven't called you daddy since.
I know this was payback from Sunday.
Anyway, point just being, we can set the example and provide for other people to see, oh, wow, okay, they can have that rough conversation, because it becomes, listen, Kevin and I are as far apart politically almost as you can get. I'm not far right. He's not far left. We're both, we're moderate right, moderate left, right? Tom, you're libertarian, right? We've had these conversations. Lori is a little bit libertarian, maybe almost a conservative libertarian. But that's my opinion. I'm not labeling
independent.
You. Yeah. Well, call yourself whatever you want. I'm there with you. We're cool. I'm just saying,
I hate labels.
That we that we're setting an example that other people can ascribe to be able to have those conversations. Because right now, nobody is setting the example, right?
Agreed.
There's almost nobody out there that represents so many different multiple views on these subjects. You have in almost every show that I watch online, and there's a ton of them, they're all speaking to echo chambers.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All of them.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
No, I agree. In the tasting room at the distillery, people will come in and visit, and we'll sit and taste liquor, but that's not something that happens in 7 minutes. It happens in 30 minutes or 40 minutes or longer sometimes. So of course we're talking about more than just whiskey.
You bet.
So the radio station comes up and I talk about you two yuckles and how I get along
Don't call Lori a yuckle.
I said
He
you two
wasn't.
yuckles. I was looking at you.
He was looking at the men with the bird leg.
I can take it. I don't have a thin skin.
But
it's okay.
We were having the conversation about how it almost sounds like a joke. A Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, and an Independent walk into a bar. Yeah, and they wonder how we do that without severed heads and under a table at the end of the night.
And that is the point, right?
Yeah,
that's absolutely the point.
And I explain, hey, we all get along great. We go out and have drinks after the show.
Is your problem, right?
Yeah,
what is everybody else's
country?
problem?
Yeah.
If we can do it,
jack wagons,
y'all can do it too, right? And you keep trying to lead by example. Set the example for the conversations, because I don't think we hear people on both sides on a regular basis talk about how I'm worried about a civil war after this next upcoming election. Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, me too.
And nothing good comes from that.
Yeah, and I'm worried about what happens globally if we have a civil war.
Yeah,
because I guarantee you, China's going to pounce on Taiwan.
1,000%.
We're not. Okay. We're not gonna have a civil war.
No,
we're not, because
I hope you're right.
Let's see if we can.
I hope you're right.
Let's listen to what he says.
I want to hear where this line of logic's going.
We're not gonna have one.
Why?
Because 98% of this country is too fat, happy, and lazy, and too willing to just allow things to happen around them.
2018, I agree with that.
To put their foot down and do anything.
2018, I agree with that.
I would agree.
But
you think things are that different now?
2024, yeah, we've been through a pandemic, and almost half the country is considering a third party.
Yeah.
So I think
most of this country is happy to leave the pandemic in the rearview mirror and act like it never happened.
I agree with that,
but there's
that
too many fractured relationships within families, friends, workplaces.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I agree that people want to leave the pandemic behind, but people are straight pissed off about politics right now.
They're pissed about politics. And it has built. The pandemic helped build it up
because
the Biden family, all of that stuff came out, man.
Yeah, the Biden family not behaving well, not behaving presidentially. Trump didn't behave presidentially, still behaving the same way he did then. I mean, no one's happy.
Look, if there wasn't,
there's not.
If there wasn't, oh no, I'm being serious.
No, I know. Go
if
ahead.
there wasn't a revolution in this country after the issues with the election in 2020. If there wasn't a revolution in this country when armed hooligans took over sections of Seattle and claimed it as their own and kicked the cops out of the police station, if there wasn't a revolution when Portland fell into total, complete disarray, if there wasn't a revolution when gas prices in the state went up hand over fist because the government decided to make it so, even after they had $2 billion of a budget surplus. Like, I keep hearing, well, the revolution may come because people have had enough. People have had enough for years. I hear all the talking points that we hear that might lead to a revolution that we've been talking about for 10 years now.
I appreciate the pessimistic bias. I'm not saying that in a bad way towards you. I get exactly what you're saying, but I think I love you, but I think you're like scuba diving, right? You've got tunnel vision and you're seeing what's right in front of you.
The problem with those examples is they're too regional. They're just the Pacific Northwest.
Well, can we be honest? How would you expect people in a city like Seattle to respond to leftists taking over a couple city blocks in Seattle.
They don't care.
They didn't care.
And the rest of the country doesn't care because it doesn't affect them. It's not in their backyard.
But they were watching.
No, they were watching.
They were rubbernecking like crazy.
They were watching.
What about the election results? What about the 2020 election results?
That all got buried.
Hold on. What happened on January 6th?
That's just coming out now in Michigan.
And
right?
what do you think is
if-
going to happen if that happens again?
What do you think's going to happen when Michigan continues to dig, because they're just starting right now?
Correct. And if it goes the other direction, where if we go into this election and Biden loses by a few, and there's any questions about that election, what do you think Biden supporters are going to do?
Nothing.
We saw them.
They don't own guns.
Well,
oh no, they do.
They do.
They do.
A small percentage.
No.
It only takes a small percentage.
It's like 40% of Democrats own guns.
A lot of them. Yeah, it's a staggering percentage.
Really?
Yes.
There's an average of like 1.25 guns per American.
Oh, I know, but
I mean,
I'm way
it's-
above that
It's
threshold.
crazy. So, but the point is,
I got these two guns.
But the point is, back to 22s.
And now we know what kind of guns.
What?
He said back to 22s about your guns.
I said now we know what kind of guns the Democrats have.
Right?
I shoot it.
Lori might have bigger guns.
300 blade mag.
I would say
shoot a big gun.
I get everything that you're saying, Kevin, and I think that that's more wishful thinking than anything else.
But hold on, let me push back a little bit,
please.
How is it wishful
Use
thinking?
those 22s.
Hold on, how is it wishful thinking when we've heard for years, especially from conservatives,
yes,
that if this keeps going this way, we're going to rise up. If our government continues to take our rights, we're going to rise up. If we keep seeing increases, this is going to rise up. If they keep telling us what we can or can't do with our kids, we're going to rise up. And all of these things have continued to happen. And yet there has been, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying the fairy tale that someday the population is suddenly going to rise up and go, okay, that was the last straw. Well, the last straw should have been $55.99. The last straw should have been the election.
But those are all too regional. No, it's going to be something.
The election was not regional, though.
Correct. And that's the one that worries me because, okay, we go to Michigan and the Michigan police are digging into the allegations of voter fraud, but Michigan politicians are hanging conservatives out to dry, even though the investigation is into the behavior of, was it GBI, which is all Biden leaning.
That's a Democratic think tank.
That whole mess has got me worried.
Corey says we're not at the breaking point yet, but at that rate, something has to change.
That's the point. And listen, this stuff started. Don't mix words about it. This stuff started back when Obama was president because of the things that he was talking about wanting to do. Do you remember Obama going out there and saying, we need a private military-like force with the same funding and the same powers as the military? And he was literally describing
the Wagner
Waffen SS or the Wagner
the Wagner group,
like his own private army.
No.
Now, he tried to put that into play. It didn't work.
Right.
But he tried, and that's where that conversation, that's where people started openly talking to me about it. They were like going, we ain't going to allow this stuff to happen. They're willing to go have the conservatives and Americans in general, they're willing to have the fights at the ballot box. But everybody has a line that they won't allow to be crossed. Now, everybody's line is different. And all it's going to take, because I feel like we're at that point already in this country where there are thousands and thousands of Americans that are standing with their toes on that line. And all it's going to take is somebody to come walk right by and push them over. They're that close, you know. People they're not wanting to pick up guns and have some weird revolution over a law that got passed that they can use the law to stifle. That's not it. You're like, well, if 55.99 didn't do it. No, that'll be fought in the courts.
That's too regional.
It'll be, Tom, I know you keep going back to that, but I'm trying to make the point here that once it explodes in one place, it'll explode everywhere.
It could.
And it won't, because there is so much hyperbolic tension wrapped up into all of this, right? So I get the point you're making about it being regional. But when if something were to blow up in a place like California, and we've seen it We've seen it. We saw it with the Bundy Ranch, and that was a very small issue. That was one rancher and his land.
Mm-hmm.
And thousands of armed men showed up, and women showed up in defense of Bundy and his land, and they pushed the federal agents back and off that land. So it's not like we haven't seen small snippets. We saw half a dozen people at the Mahler Wildlife Refuge hold up out of protest and then watched a man on live television get murdered for it. These are all issues. Everything builds on everything else. It all builds, and it'll continue to build. History shows us that when a population is maybe suppressed isn't the right word, because I don't think anybody's suppressed in this country, but
Or
when
under
a population is trampled on, or their rights are
under pressure,
and it doesn't happen instantly. It never does. It takes time. It takes time. Look at the Boxer Rebellion in China. Most of you don't know what I'm talking about. Crack a book.
That's when Rocky Marciano led a rebellion. Hold on. We're going to continue this on the
Rocky Marciano. All you white power mama talk about is
the
Rocky
Facebook
Marciano.
side. For those of you on AIM, we'll see you Sunday night at 8 p.m. And for those of you on Facebook, hold on. Outlaw Radio on Megatalk.com. There is no Megatalk.com. Stop it.
Oh, he totally tricked you.
Yeah. I have good ideas every once in a while. I was wrong, Lori. There is a Megatalk.com. They offer super low international rates on international phone calls.
All right.
They have 4 subscribers.
I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what it is.
So a funny thing occurred to me.
Yes.
This whole time, what it would take to have a civil war, a revolution? Well, let's think about our last civil war and revolution. How long was the buildup before?
It's a perfectly valid question, Phil.
Some people in our country and then in other countries made the decision that we would fight for the rights of other men, and men and women, obviously, is to not be in slavery. Of course, we still see the problem today, and it's 150 years later, and we're still being criticized.
Absolutely,
despite fighting.
And if you look at other revolutions throughout time, the Civil War. The American Civil War was kind of a unique thing, so it's not actually something you can really model off of. Most revolutions come about when a government overreaches, and then the population falls under enough economic pressure where they can't take care of basic
1,000%.
needs like food and
what did you just say?
housing,
That's how big of a deal. What you just said is, what did we talk about 30 minutes ago? An extra $1,300 in costs to every American family.
Right. So the magic threshold, the magic number is 40%.
Okay.
When your food cost, basically, I mean, you have to account for time and all the rest of that stuff. But when your resources take 40% or more, when it takes 40% or more of your resources, what I should say, to feed your family, people start considering revolt. They go after the government.
I think,
and it doesn't matter if it's.
I don't know if you have numbers to back that up, but that sounds like an amazingly plausible figure to me.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I've got numbers.
I believe you. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, even if you didn't, I would be like, that sounds like a plausible thing.
Yeah.
And I think to answer Kevin's question, why haven't people responded earlier? We went through a pandemic. A lot of us.
Yes.
I would say a majority of us took a hit financially. Reserves of your money, whatever stuff.
Pick me.
And like reserves of your canned goods. I mean, I'm just picking everything.
No, I think it's
so
I'm
you're in this
suffering from
financial quandary, and now people are building back up in their personal reserves in stores, and now stuff's just getting worse.
And let's not forget, we are a nation of laws, and most Americans, especially conservatives, I'm not saying that people on the left or Democrats don't, but especially conservatives believe that we are a nation of laws, not men. And as such, they are going to be much less willing to just say, F it, we're going to have a revolution now. They don't want to do that. It's the absolute last thing that any of them want to do, versus people on the left who decided, my hands are up, don't shoot. and an organization like BLM gets born out of that, and it's a lie, and they're willing to go burn down cities and towns.
See, I don't think BLM was a lie.
Well, BLM turned out to be a fundraising arm out of Act Blue for the Democratic Party.
BLM morphed into something terrible.
Yeah, and they got some nice mansions
They sure
for
did.
people.
Yeah.
Right, which
not
is
the
not
general
where
public.
right. That's not where any of those resources should have gone.
And
But
you're a good point. I agree with you. It was born out of the right concept of the right idea.
Right, and it
to
morphed
bring
into
awareness.
something terrible.
Yep, to bring awareness to this idea that that people of African American descent were treated as less than by police.
Yeah.
And it was a fair, absolutely 1,000% fair thing to take to the streets over. Now, the numbers, the statistics didn't necessarily bear it out the way it
Correct.
was presented.
Yeah. None
but
of that was
nonetheless,
accurately
yes,
portrayed.
But it was still a valid conversation, right? I think so.
Yeah. I still can't get past the fact that all y'all think that there is a moment that is going to be a tipping point.
Well, you don't think that?
No.
So you don't think anything would cause there to be a tipping point, and that's fine.
No, I think it's important to think, what is one of the things keeping people a little satiated or satisfied in things?
Well, I think
right now, personal restraint.
Yeah.
The government is able to borrow money and give it out. Oh, it'll be okay. Here's some money. Oh, here's some money. Now the tipping point might be...
But they already did that, and now we're paying for it because the inflation's through the roof because we printed money. And I mean, there's other factors to it that I've talked
the
about.
tipping point when suddenly maybe the U.S. dollar is no longer the reserve currency?
Could be, yeah.
When no longer, how bad does it have to get to become that tipping point? Because they just been paying off, oh, you'll be okay. Here's the money.
Yeah, I don't want to find out, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think you've got a point, Philip, that the government continues to give out handouts and things, so people are more reliant on the government than we ever have been in this nation's history. But I also think there's a tendency to worry about your own. I got kids to take care of. I got a house to pay. I got a wife I love.
That's what drives the want for a revolt, is because I have my family that I need to take care of and care for, and the authoritarian figure above me has made it virtually impossible. So now me want to take care of my family. I have to crush that authoritarian figure because I can't take care of my wife and child.
Like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, you're both a little right and both a little fucking crazy.
Or you know what? I don't want to go out on a limb. I don't want to risk what we have because I have to take care of my kids and my wife and my house and I want to provide my home and I can't got to protect my business. I can't go out on that limb.
No, you haven't been pushed far enough then.
Well,
because
let's add to this, Tom.
When you get
it doesn't have to be everybody. It was 3% of the American populace, only 3% that fought the Revolutionary War.
Right.
So you can stay home with your kids, right? Not you literally personally,
right.
But most people will be staying home. 3%.
Yeah, but 3% of 370 million, that's still a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people.
And
yeah.
You have to also look at the fact that since the pandemic or during the pandemic, a lot of our population centers have decreased dramatically.
Well, they've dispersed.
And new ones have risen up.
Are you saying that people have left the larger cities or moved out of cities? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I've heard that,
California,
but I haven't heard stats. I did hear that
California's had
negative growth.
Yeah, negative growth for almost 3 years now.
And I to add to that, and we've seen a lot of it here from people we've talked to that we've become friends with over the years doing this show. What does it say when people get to the point like with Washington State? I cannot list the number of people that I know, good conservative families, men and women, that have said fuck this state and have moved. And they're getting to the point, a lot of them have moved to Montana and Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado kind of areas. And I've heard those same people now going, holy cow, they're coming here too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have our own enclaves where everybody here thinks alike, acts alike, has the same values, and now all of a sudden, two people on the city council are extreme leftists, right? Yeah, they're the outsiders, but it's like there's more coming, in a lot of ways, I hate to say this, but I draw weird historical correlations on a lot of stuff. Tom, this will make you and Kevin both laugh. Like, I see conservatives in a state like Idaho feeling like Native Americans 300 years ago.
What?
Yeah, because
Sure.
because the conservatives, like, we have our own little safe space. This is where we live. And slowly the white man is coming in, right? The leftist from
No.
California, they're infiltrating. That's
No,
why.
no. What I'm saying is they already have been infiltrated for like the past 5 years. No, I'm serious.
Yes.
Prior to
No, I'm
the
agreeing
pandemic.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm drawing a correlation. That's all
No,
I'm
I
trying to do.
Corey said, Tom, you're right. Kevin hasn't been pushed. Okay, Corey, I'll give that to you. Does that imply that you've been pushed? Does that imply that you've been pushed too far over the edge? Where's your revolution? Like, I think and I'm not being a smart ass. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe I haven't been pushed enough.
Look,
but if you've been pushed enough, why haven't?
Yeah, you're trying to understand, and you've been asking for years those fair questions.
I'll
about
answer it.
Go ahead.
I'm actually looking at making a big purchase. And for me, it's, do I stay in Washington? Do I go elsewhere?
Sure.
So that's my
If
thing.
you leave the state, I'll say the same thing I've said about everybody else who left. Is
sure,
you're a coward and you refuse to fight.
I'm a coward. That's fine.
Hold on. You refuse to fight for the state that you love, and it was easier to leave and walk away. And I nothing personal.
Yeah.
I don't mean that
No, I
personal.
know.
But it's the same thing I said to the Comptons who were on this show and left to go to Idaho because Washington State wasn't amenable. I got friends that lived up in Paulsbo that did the exact same thing. It's too hard.
Oh no, it ain't about that, Kevin. It is a much more deeply rooted issue than you give it credit for being. If I did not have a child here that I had 50% custody with, I'd have moved.
Yeah.
And it's not about giving up. This state has been controlled by the left since 1988. There's no light at the end of that tunnel when you look down the hole. And whether you accept it or not, I know when 5599 was passed, your response was, well, it doesn't really change anything. Yes, it does. For a lot of people. A lot of people. If I did not have custody of my son, I would have left. And it ain't about being a coward. It's like, F this state. I don't need to be here, so I'm not going to be. But I do need to be here.
But for me, I'm looking at the tea leaves. I'm a single woman. I'm, not that far from retirement age. I need to look out for myself.
She's fine with them Alaskan men.
Washington.
So Dan
Washington's not going to do it for me, right?
Yeah.
Jay Inslee's not going to be my daddy.
Right.
So.
Whoa!
Dan said,
drink.
So Dan said in chat, Kevin, what the hell can we do to fight for the state? Really? Okay. If that's the track you want to take, that there's no way to fight for the state, then why are we voting for Republican lawmakers at all? Why are we signing petitions? Why are we even voting? Like, what's the point? I mean, if there's nothing you can do to fight for the state, then why even try?
Because
why are you donating to PACs?
That's not what anybody's saying either.
No, but he's saying, what can we do to fight for the state? I'm just saying, if that's the track you want to take.
Answer it honestly, though. The honest answer to that question is just keep doing what you're doing.
Have a conversation.
You do what you can.
The honest answer to that question is to do more than you're doing. It's really easy for people to be on the sidelines and to bitch and complain, and yet they're not active in the process. They're not out getting signatures. They're not out canvassing. They're not getting people to vote.
I say do better than that.
We've said on this show for the better part of the last year that if every Republican in the state voted, they would beat the Democrat numbers in the Tri-County area.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's more conservatives than we give ourselves credit for.
Well, no, not in King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties there isn't. But
no, statewide though.
Statewide.
There's more Republicans statewide.
That's what the numbers do appear to show that.
Yeah. So you want to know what you can do to fight the state? Well, that's really simple.
Get people to go out and
vote. Get people to go out and vote. Get people to go out and do something.
Please vote.
I don't mean to put the kibosh on this, but we don't actually look. The numbers seem to suggest that, but you're in a state where you all know that we have an associate of this station that did independent reporting that got a woman to admit on tape that they were actively committing election fraud.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of people in this state feel that is going on.
Well,
I mean, remember, Sharma Sawant got recalled and suddenly found 1,000 votes in a box that were all for her that got applied.
Really,
I'm being facetious because I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like that.
It was more than 1,000.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like all of a sudden, magic votes appeared for her.
Well, so give it some time. Give Michigan time to finish their investigation.
I'm so curious about
I'm
that, man.
super curious too. But I honestly, I think after the questions are answered in Michigan, I think we're going to see some reform leading up to the 2024
I
election.
hope so. And I don't have any problem losing a fair election.
No.
I don't, because I'm a firm believer in how we run our governments and how we make our decisions. You've heard me talk for years about how it's as important for us to have both sides represented.
Mhm.
It's why Washington State's a shithole, because Republicans have not been able to fairly or accurately in any way, shape, or form be represented, right? They've always been the majority.
Yep.
And so there's no parity within the legal system or within the lawmaking system in this state. None.
Really quick, Dan's, where did it go? Oh, he said, you want me to really answer that? You know damn well we were doing that. Well, I'm curious why you use the word were and not are.
Because Dan moved.
They moved.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're doing that. And then we left. And again, I'm not knocking people for leaving, right? You guys do what you want to do, but don't the issue that plagued this state is going to require a 10-year move. It's going to require 10 years of action and work and hard stuff. It's like we talked about the 23rd. The Democrats own the 23rd, and it's going to take the Republican Party in the 23rd, well, probably even longer than it should have, because April Turd Ferguson screwed everything up there. But it takes time to undo the momentum, right? So what we would need is conservative people in leadership in this state to do the long, hard job of undoing it, right? To plant the seeds, to get name recognition, to push the agendas, to get things happening. And the problem is we have a lot of people that do it and then they leave. They're in it for a little bit and then they're out. Marty McClendon moves to Texas. Compton's moved to Idaho. Smallwood moved. There's very few Robert Parkers in the world that dig in at home and say, I'm not going anywhere. This is where my granddaughter lives. This is where my family lives. I'm going to fight this until I can't fight it anymore.
The only way that what you're talking about, Kevin, happens is when people decide to put their integrity and the truth of whatever any situation is above their loyalty to party or political assuasion, right? I will tell you right now, we're getting ready to break a story.
People are just
coming
learning
out
that
of
now, Paul. That's why we're seeing those numbers about potential third parties. People are just learning to step away from party affiliation, party loyalty, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. So we are in the process right now of getting ready to break a mammoth story out of Paulsbo. I've been in contact with a listener of the show. I'm not going to give any additional information about this individual, but I will say that I've been in contact with other individuals who are preparing PDC filings and FOIA requests because there are people running for city council in Paulsbo that are taking money from our good friends at Paulsbo for All, which is acting as a political action committee unregistered. That's a big no-no.
Whoops.
So, and we're gonna follow up. I'm not giving any more information because I don't want to spoil anything. And here's the kicker. This is, in all honesty, this is the worst part about the whole thing. Pam Keeley and the others that are part of that organization up there know damn good and well what they're doing, and they're flaunting it. They are waving the middle finger at you and everybody else in this county, saying, "Stop us! I dare you." They are that brazen about it. I'll give you guys the details when we're off air, but that scares me because if now we already know that the further north you go in this peninsula, the more to the left people go, or the more people per capita are to the left. Okay. They are not at all afraid of anybody saying anything. And that what that's telling us is that they feel empowered to behave that way.
Well, they live under the umbrella of Bobblehead.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
because he lives right there. He'll protect them.
Yep.
Potentially.
Yep.
I will tell you this, and this was pointed out in the room by Dan. Thank you, Dan. That Puget Sound Patriots annual picnic at the Kitsap and Revolver Club will be this coming Saturday, from 11 to 3:30. So if you are interested in that, Chris Leba will be there.
At the Rifle Revolver Club on Seabeck Highway.
Chris is a good guy. I wish that I would love to be there, but with my wife's new schedule, man, we only get a chance to do things like work on our house and stuff on Saturdays. That's it. So that's what it's turned into. She gets home Friday nights, and Saturday we spend Saturday working on the projects that we have to do at the house, and so it sucks. Hopefully she some things get to change for her in the next 2 months or so at work. That's the plan. So
Dan said, my youngest graduated. I wanted to move to the mountains. Why in the world would I bother being controlled by Inslee and Sideshow Bob anymore? That's the point. Like if everybody just leaves, then kiss it goodbye.
It's like Mexico.
Well,
and at what point do you leave the country? I'm not being shitty, but at what point do you leave the country? At one point do you say, well, Biden's stuff's gotten out of hand. I guess it's time for me to leave the U.S. Maybe I'll move to some other conservative country. And I can't think of any conservative countries off the top of my head, but
it's sad.
I'm going to move to New Zealand.
It's sad, Kevin, that you take that approach with it.
No, I'm asking
because there's so many reasons that people move. What if you're retired?
So
in a state like Washington, and your freaking retirement money does not stretch nearly as far as it does in other states. Like there's a ton of reasons for that.
Yeah. I mean, gas in Idaho is $1 a gallon cheaper. Housing is $100,000 a house cheaper. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
No, well, earlier in the show, we were talking about how, what was it, last year or whatever, California had a negative population adjust.
Yeah,
right?
They lost people. Even with all those births and illegals coming across the border, they still lost people.
They lost like 117,000 people or something last year.
Yeah.
Where did they go? We can't find them.
Texas.
Yeah, anywhere but California.
Right.
So when that starts happening here in Washington policy will change, because when people leave, money leaves.
No, policy will not change, and you're seeing that in California. People leave, and they will just jack up the taxes to cover for the fact that now they're losing revenue, so they got to tax more. That's what happened in Detroit and Chicago.
I want to agree with you so bad on that, but unfortunately, he's making sense.
As those taxes go up, more people will leave California,
right.
And California is going to go, oh shit! And they're going to have to change their.
But they're not.
You look at Detroit. Look at Detroit, Tom.
Yeah.
The word you're looking for is yet.
But hold on, Tom. Look at Detroit.
Detroit's a city, not a state.
But look at. I get that, but look at Detroit.
Detroit
is California 50 years ago.
Yep.
Overtax, overregulate, over police,
and
everybody leaves. And now what is Detroit?
But
Detroit's a fucking ghost town.
Detroit's a dump, but there's a couple of problems there. It's not just the political atmosphere. Detroit lost all of its infrastructure. Detroit lost all of its ability to make money.
What do you think's happening to California
because
right
they
now?
send everything overseas.
That's true. It expedited the process.
Right.
But the result was a lot of Democrat far left policies that did not work.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and decriminalization and lack of funding police force, and crime got high and drugs got high.
Right. And what's Detroit doing now?
Nothing.
No, they're changing course.
Yeah, after they bottomed out.
Right.
Half of Detroit are burned out shells of homes
know.
that you could buy for the money in your wallet now.
Yeah, I don't have any money in my wallet.
And you can still get a free house.
I know. There's no way in hell I'm going to Detroit, though. And California is... They're either California is going to become a giant Detroit, or they're going to step back and go, oh, these policies don't work. We should knock this shit off.
Yeah, they're trying to get Newsom to run for president, because then they can.
Horrible fucking idea.
I know, but then they can finally get rid of him, and then maybe get some other leadership.
Oh, maybe
the problem
someone will
is
shoot him?
you have too many people in California that think like Newsom, so they're happy about it. But fun fact, Newsom referenced several high-profile people, high earners, I guess you would say, in California, who left during the pandemic. One of them, Joe Rogan, he didn't say their names, but he was talking about how they would need to pay their future earnings in taxes to the state of California. Especially,
how is he going to enforce that nonsense?
Especially since they left to states that don't tax. And Joe Rogan talked about it on his next podcast and said, come after me, MFer.
Good luck.
He goes, I'll sue you.
Yeah. How is he? How do you enforce that?
He's not. It's the same thing that
nonsense policy
Jay Inslee did when Bezos was talking about moving Amazon headquarters. And Jay Inslee was like, you can't do that. And
sure you can.
Anybody else who's a high earner in Washington, he was talking during the pandemic, if you move, we're going to have to tax your wages.
And look, and here's the deal. Boeing has left. Not completely, but a good amount of their operations have left.
Big chunk of it's in St. Louis now.
And St. Louis and South Carolina. Well, why is that? Because it's not a business friendly state.
Correct.
Amazon is making noise about leaving. Travelocity left. And again, some of these aren't huge businesses.
Right.
But when you continue to see business after business, major business that employs hundreds or thousands of people, continue to say we cannot be here. And when the city of Seattle's response is, oh, well, we better fucking tax Amazon more, it bewilders the mind.
Yep.
Really quickly, Paul, someone agree with you. I want to give you props. Jennifer said, Kevin, it's smarter to walk around the pile of shit rather than step in it. I'm with Paul. I would leave if my kids weren't here. So she agrees with you.
Yay.
And Danny says, everything seems set up. We are only 2A away from Chinese communism. And Dan said to listen to Paul, Kevin. So
thank you. Anyway, all right. So
parting shots for Philip.
Parting shots. Remember, they've been announcing emphasis patrols, so don't be an idiot in Gorse tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Ooh. Emphasis patrols in Gorst in the morning? Well,
for morning
commute. In the morning?
For the morning
not for DUI.
So don't go to work drunk.
Just
oh, you mean like speeding?
Just don't drive like a jackass.
I'm thinking like DUI. Yeah.
Just don't drive like a jackass. You know.
And there are some of those.
Apparently, people think I'm the jerk because I do the speed limit through Gorst.
And can I say this really quick too about that? I absolutely fucking hate the threats from the police state.
What?
We're going to have extra cops out there to get you. Don't fuck up on Thursday.
It's just a way to make you think.
Wear a
about
seatbelt, wear a helmet, or we're going to get you. Like,
They
fucking knock it off.
They don't have enough cops to really.
It's just funny that they advertise it. So maybe just it's kind of like, you keep it up, or I'm going to tell Dad when he gets home.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
sorry for the dad reference.
It's no, it's okay. It's the whole like. Fucking,
You didn't bitch at him for calling you Dad.
No, because he wasn't calling me Dad. He was given an actual proper usage of the word,
Daddy.
Vader.
The overwhelming tone from our government is. From everything, street signs, everything. It's worn on me for years.
I just don't get why don't we put all these extra signs? I mean, it was in the study guide when you got your license. I mean, you've been warned.
Kevin, you're sounding very
the cat's
gold.
in the cradle in the silver spoon.
I mean, like Compton will talk about it, like it's just the government trying to stake more of your money. Like, well, yeah, but except you do have a way to not give it to them.
Yeah, Jennifer's my kindred spirit. She says, "Oh, they're so stupid. We shouldn't have to be told. Just do your job every day." Yeah, why do we need emphasis patrols on Thursdays? Like, if they're speed, just pull them over. Like,
because there's not enough cops to go around, so they have to announce. We're going to put all the cops here on Monday, and on Tuesday they're going to be over there.
Well, good. I know they're going to be in Gorst on Tuesday. Bank. I'll be in Kingston.
There you go.
That's thinking ahead.
It's the 7 Ps. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor
Women
performance.
plan accordingly. You know the drill.
I wonder why we got kicked
for
off
sure,
of Facebook
sure.
and
Right.
YouTube with all
I
this
didn't,
talk.
everybody.
I didn't really plan well. That's why I've got so many children. Lori, parting shots. Parting shots, Lori.
Thought he was going to say he was a bad shot. He was in the Navy. You know? Clearly made some bank deposits he couldn't withdraw.
Hey, did any one of you care that Kamala Harris was here this week? Didn't think so. Lori, parting shots?
Oh, it ruined my commute.
I'm sure it did.
I didn't know
you
she
heard
was.
about it yesterday.
We cracked a joke this morning because we saw a 52-foot trailer with a White Claw logo on the side of it backing up to unload, and F-Bomb knows the joke about White Claw, so she's like, "Oh, Kamala's here."
She was here.
Just not here.
Yes.
She
Jennifer
literally
said children
is so insignificant, nobody even noticed.
Jennifer said, "Children that you know about." Jennifer, do I know you, and do you have something to tell me?
That's amazing, Jennifer. Please message us.
Kevin's like, there were a few years there that are still a blur.
Still a blur.
Is this your child? No. Parting shots. Pay attention, especially in the next couple of weeks. I believe schools are going to be back in session soon.
I think it's
probably high schoolers who are in fall sports are probably starting to go to said fall sports practices, at odd times or during commute times. So pay attention. Lots of people out, pedestrian folks enjoying the great weather. So pay attention and, be alert.
Okay. Tom, parting shots?
Not tonight.
No?
No, can't think of anything that's
Wow.
pressing.
He was all fired up earlier.
Yeah.
Got it out of his system.
Deep breath.
Or
All
it's
right.
the flask.
Okay, Kevin.
Nah, it's mostly full still.
Vegas.
She said, "How about the cop that fell 50 to 60 feet while doing the escort?" I heard somebody got hurt.
What?
A police officer got hurt in Seattle doing the Kamala Harris.
Yes,
Somebody was assigned. I didn't hear too much about it.
It was at I-90 and I-5 junction. Fell off the bridge, or we heard it as an accident because I was in Bellevue yesterday.
Did he fall with his body, or did he fall in a vehicle?
I don't know. I don't know. We were
I
just
hadn't heard
told that
any of
if you didn't need to leave Bellevue, you might want to just stay a little bit longer. To
Okay.
kind of
All right. So enough Kamala chat. Anything else,
Well,
Kevin?
we're talking about a police officer that got hurt in the line of duty. Why are you so
Yeah.
insensitive?
No, I just want to.
Don't
go.
you
It's time
back
to
the
go.
blue?
It's time to go.
What's your issue? You don't like the blue? You're an anti-cop?
I wear blue.
Here we go.
Tom, did you have a party? You didn't have any?
He's got nothing.
I already said no.
Paul?
Not tonight.
Nope, I'm good.
I'll come up with something profound for Sunday.
I'll hold my breath. My parting shots is if I see Jennifer, I'm running the other way, especially if she has paperwork in her hand. Thanks to Brandy Cruz for joining us early on tonight. That was a nice surprise. It was good to have her on. We'll have to do it again. Saturday, is Saturday the mall? Tom?
Motorcycle.
That's right. This coming Saturday. So I do have a parting shot. This coming Saturday is our next Town Square night market.
Are we still doing karaoke?
And I do believe that Dennis and K-Dog will be hosting karaoke.
Okay. Let me know. Have him let me know later in the week if he's feeling up to it.
No, he's up to it. I was supposed to remind you of that tonight. I was going to do it off the air, but I guess that could be my parting shot too.
Okay.
So I won't be at the night market.
Why?
Because I have to be up in Snohomish at the River's Edge Brewfest.
The only reason I was going to do it is so I could hear you sing.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to settle for Dennis. Dennis will sing the Humpty Dance.
Yes, praise God. I've also heard that Bob Ross will be down here singing about happy trees as well, so that'll be good fun.
There we go. By the way, the police officer fell off a motorcycle.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ouch, because that probably hurt, and ouch, because that definitely hurt his pride.
Much to say. All right, it's 9:30. We love you guys. Thanks for supporting the show. We'll see you on the flip. This has been the Outlaw Radio Network, a presentation of Mega Talk brought to you by Black Ring Spirits. And a reminder to you, we'll see you Sunday, 8 p.m.
Outlawnetwork.com.
Good night, bitches.
Daddy special.